Oh. Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to the CIL, the Collegiate iRacing League. For tonight, the Cup Series race at Pocono. And you can tell on your screen a very, very big track here tonight. And joining me to break this tricky triangle down, as always, Josh Crane and John D. Price joining me up in the booth. John, Josh, how's it going?
That's going pretty well, Jarrett. Looking forward to this one. Pocono Raceway up here in New York, the Triangle, the famous track, and should offer us a lot of excitement here tonight. Guys have a lot to contend with. Tires should be a factor. Fuel mileage may be a factor. And a couple rule changes to contend with as well. But we're on to race 3 right now, Josh. So the available points are dwindling, and guys have got to make those runs towards the front.
Yeah, and there will be a lot of runs. There's going to be a lot of patience required to get around. Every driver is going to have a different strategy. Normally, you hear tracks broken down into turns 1 and 2, turns 3 and 4, and there's really 2 areas of the racetrack that you have to consider. Pocono has 3, and they're all 3 distinct corners. And again, drivers are going to drive those differently. And so we're going to get to see opportunities where drivers may have a little bit more speed on entry or exit than another driver, but they'll be required to think about how to go around and how to set up the pass, maybe even a couple laps earlier, as these drivers pay attention to the tendencies of the drivers around them. So it is going to be a tricky track, and we're very excited for everything that's going on tonight. And we're going to have really a full race and full evening of developing track and everything else.
Yeah, we've got some nice weather, 71-degree ambient temperature, 115-degree track temperature, though, so that's not going to help the tires last throughout the session. We do have them wrapping up their practice right now. Qualifying's about to start here in just a few moments, and then we'll go into the last chance qualifier, where anybody who did not qualify in the top 26 will fight for those remaining 10 spots to make the 36 full field for the feature race. So that'll be a great time to watch. It was a lot of fun watching last week, the last chance qualifier. But, Josh, I've said it before, I'm not a big oval guy. I don't run them a lot. I run mostly road stuff. And in the practice for Pocono, I found this to be a pretty enjoyable track to drive. It's got very unique corners. Turns 1, 2, and 3 are all different amounts of baking on each. Turn 1 is 14 degrees. Turn 2 is 8. And turn 3 is 6 degrees. And then different lengths of straights between them. And these guys have to really battle with that. The brake bias is going to change throughout the night, and whether or not you're in front or behind another car is going to affect that a lot. So I'm looking forward to seeing how these guys cope with these hot conditions here.
Yeah, these conditions are going to be a little bit tricky. The track, especially as rubber is laid down, is going to lose a little bit grip right in the racing line. And so these drivers are going to contend with that, as well as they contend with each other. It's going to be pretty exciting. We're going to see a lot. And you mentioned the last chance qualifier from Texas. We're going to see something pretty similar here with how these drivers take notes during the last chance qualifier. Again, 15 laps around this racetrack, and then they'll be able to go through and put that knowledge to the test, as well as the drivers who transfer directly into the main race, the feature event. And they will not be partaking in the last chance qualifier, but they will have a chance to get everything set up and to observe, really. And there may be more benefit there than being able to take part in the race. Also advantageous, obviously, to take part. Anytime you get seat time is a good time, John.
Yeah, agreed. But the guys out there that have been getting the most seat time, at least up at the front of the field, have been this UNC team coming in strong this season with Santiago Torres right there on your screen right now, and Jared Kaler, his teammate. Jared Kaler just 3 points behind Austin Farr in the battle for the championship right now. But in the team's UNC does have that right now. So it's going to be an interesting one. And Jarrett, we'll see if these UNC guys can take the win here tonight. But my pick's probably going to be Henry Morse. He's been striving for those podiums all season long, and it's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, Henry Morse, very good pick. We saw him be quick in practice, so watch out for the 44 machine all night long. But my pick to win, we saw him at the top of the practice leaderboard, and I think we're going to see him at the top of the qualifying board, is Ryan Fenty from St. Joe's College in the number 26 car. He'll be one of our on-board drivers here tonight, so you get to see his beautiful face as well over the course of the night. And I think he gets up front, stays out of trouble, and comes home with a victory here tonight. Josh?
Yeah, and guys, I think that from Grand Canyon University, a pretty consistent driver, Derek Jennings, is a guy I'm going to keep my eye on throughout the night. He knows how to get around these oval tracks, and he knows what the track is going to do. He's been racing for quite some time, so it's going to be fun to watch how that driver takes part in Grand Canyon University. Derek Jennings, I'm looking for him up front at the end of this one, but we're on board or following right now Santiago Perez as he is on his first lap, so just putting down a clean one before he can really let it fly. You can see here he'll go down into turn 3. It looks like he's going to set up that final and fast lap back down to the rumble strips and back down this long front stretch. This is where drivers have the chance to stretch their arms, stretch their wrists one at a time, pay attention, check your gauges, and maybe talk to your crew chief or spotter. But you can see he's going to be a little bit off the wall right here, trying to come down a little bit early. In fact, it looks like he is going to let that first lap be his. So maybe has a little bit of secrets. Maybe just wanted one lap to be able to do that. But solid play right there. And it looks like we will see where he lands up on the board. But we're going to follow right now with Jared Kaler from the same school, UNC Charlotte, as he comes back to his onboard here and begins what I think is his first lap.
Yeah, it looks like that lap did start Santiago Perez towards the front of the field. Right now cleared by over 3/10 back from Joshua Tiggs. So that's looking good for the UNC team. They like these pole positions. If they can keep them coming thick and fast, then they'll be set up very well for the race. But Josh, your pick, Derek Jennings, right now sitting in third, a 54.054. So a great lap from him. And what I found was that the tires will fall off after that second lap. It's really that second lap that you have to capitalize on if you're going to get the ultimate speed out of it. And I think Santiago knew that. I mean, after all, he was a former Coke Series driver, and now again another Coke, and now he is again a Coke Series driver, I should say. So congrats to him on making the cut for that.
Yeah, absolutely, mega achievement there. And you can see that Jared Kaler, probably the same strategy, going to lay down that fast lap and then let that car drift away. So following on now with FIU, and maybe a little bit of rearward brake bias right there. Actually, guys, I think he was coming to a stop at the rate of deceleration and maybe grabbed a downshift a little bit earlier than he expected. But NC State and Matthew Nordberg in that 76 machine Wolfpack going to get it out on track. And it looks like they're going to start their first lap as they get up to speed. And again, a little bit slower, trying to keep those tires cool until they get to the final spot there. Just coming out of turn 3, that's when you'll see drivers start to pick it up, might even pick it up out of turn 2. And Carl Lemkool, with the 095 machine from St. Louis University is going to go get right up next to that wall, guys. We know it's fast to use the whole track. And so these guys are going to have to pay attention, be very careful, know the width of their car, and listen to their spotters and use as much track as they can.
Yeah, Carl Lemkool, fresh back from Indianapolis, where he was helping out another CIL competitor out there racing at the SCCA runoffs. Ted Burns racing his Formula Ford out there, taking home a 13th place finish in a very, very tough field with a lot of changing conditions as well. Rain race out there at Indy, and well done to him for that. First rain race, I believe, for Ted Burns as well, as Carl bends it down into turn 1. Carl was out there with his sim rig, actually, and was racing from the hotel room that week. So ultimate dedication to the sim racing life and the league shown by Carl Lemkool for St. Louis University, with his brother in the field as well. A bit of a Kyle and Kurt Busch action out there on track at the moment.
Yeah, and teamwork strong there between the two brothers and the two St. Louis University machines. Following now, Ryan Fenty, also one of the onboard shots here. But from St. Joseph's College up in New York, Ryan Fenty, guys, we've seen that he has pace everywhere we go, as long as we're turning left. And in fact, his most prominent win, iRacing win, is at Pocono. So Ryan and St. Joe's College understand how to get around here. So he's going to get qualified, get warmed up. And we'll see where this 26 machine falls. But Ryan, an avid racer, certainly at Pocono, and an avid moose aficionado. So we'll see if we can get him a little bit of information in car, as you do see him there on your screen, focused and looking motivated, trying to get to work, guys.
Yeah, I noticed that his fingers are actually wrapped around the shift paddles. I wonder if he does do a little bit of road racing, because that would be a habit carried over from that, if anything, because these cars are all going to be manual shift, 4-speed in these cars, big V8s up front, and they're pretty old school at the end of the day. Not a lot of aids to help the drivers out throughout the course. They can change a few things on these cars, brake bias being one of them. Can change the steering ratio and the steering offset, but outside of that, these guys are all running the same setup here tonight. Setups provided by iRacing, of course. I found this Pocono setup, Josh, to actually be pretty nice. It had some decent rotation, at least on the first couple of laps, and then seemed to manage the tires fairly well after that. So I think that's going to help the guys throughout especially the feature race. The heat race, maybe not so much of a factor. That one's only going to be 15 laps, but then the feature race will be a full 40 laps. So guys will have to contend with those tires. They'll have 2 sets of tires they're allowed to take throughout the night and a fast repair to help them if they end up involved in an accident. Let's hope not. But it seems somewhat inevitable when we're out here on an oval that there will be some contact either from the behind or from the front or from the side. And guys just trying to push each other to the front sometimes results in getting a guy turned around. Maybe that wasn't the intention, or maybe sometimes it was. Kind of depends on some of these situations here. This league's been around for over a year now, and these guys know how everybody races here. So there's some rivalries brewing out there at the moment, and we'll see how it plays out throughout the night. Jarrett?
Yeah, and you said it right there. Guys know how they drive. We've had guys come in and really start to go right back to work. Santiago Perez, one of them. He's no stranger to this high level of competition, but we have guys returning like Austin Farr, Jared Kaler, Matthew Nordberg, all guys no stranger to the front, with also new drivers. Nicholas Stockner from Clemson, a gaggle of Clemson drivers in the field tonight that you'll see over the course of the night. As we start to wind down qualifying here, guys, quick reminder, the top 26 advance straight to the feature race. Everyone else is going to have to go into that last chance qualifier, which is going to look pretty tough here tonight. Josh?
It is going to be tough. We have a lot of drivers and a little space to fit them all into that final feature race. And you can bet that we'll have the last chance qualifier. We'll have some unique moves. Expect along this wide front stretch, one of the widest that we go to, guys. It's going to be spread out. Drivers are going to fan out. And then I think that one of you alluded to it earlier, before we went live, that you fan out and then you're going to have to get back in line for turn 1. So expect maybe a traffic jam or two down into turn 1. There are a few grooves there, but everyone has to agree to leave room on the inside or the outside, whatever your position is at that time, and then understand that speed accordingly. You won't be able to drift all the way up to the wall or get down to that yellow line if you'd like to. So going to be a little bit of give and take from these drivers, both in the LCQ and then ultimately into the feature. But I'm looking forward to, guys, some really firm competition this evening.
Yeah, same here. And as we wrap up qualifying, just over a minute left in qualifying. So anybody that is not in that top 26 is going to need to put in an absolute flying lap here to make their way across the line to be in that top 26 and make it straight through the feature. As it looks like Jeremy Rogers puts his car up there into 9th spot with a decent little lap there of 54.065, and just behind him, Jared Kaler, 54.066 for the UNC machine. Jared Kaler currently occupying that last top 10 spot. But meanwhile, my eyes are right now on Santiago Perez's time. I'm going to have to go back and watch that lap back, guys, because I don't know if he's using grip packs or something, but to out-qualify everybody by over 2/10 of a second around an oval is just a testament to the level of skill out here. But with a guy that has an I rating of over 7,200 in the Oval Series, that's almost to be expected. Closely followed up there by Austin Farr, a pretty strong I rating himself. So right now, the top 10, Perez, Farr, Nordberg, your top 3. And then Sean Campbell, not a guy that's as strong on the ovals as he is on the road. He's currently dominating the road series, but putting it up there in a very strong 4th spot for Randolph College. And Joshua Tiggs in 5th, Henry Morse in 6th. Great performance there. Robbie Vrabel Jr. in 7th. Derek Jennings in 8th. Jeremy Rogers in 9th. Just mentioned that A&M machine. And then Jared Kaler for UNC in 10th. That's your top 10 right now. Looking pretty strong up there.
So as we get set for the last chance qualifier here, guys, we're taking a look at how these are going to shape up and get rocking and rolling. John, take us through the grid here.
Yeah, so we got Christian Gomez is actually going to lead us off here for the last chance qualifier. Zachary Phillips closely following him up there in 2nd spot. Nicholas Stockner in 3rd. Scott Ratliff, the 747 machine, there in 4th. And Jeremy Miller in, I think I saw his name last week, but if not, it's one of his debut races here in the series. It's going to roll off 5th for the last chance qualifier. Colin Kolpa in 6th, Jeffrey Ford in 7th, though Ford has chosen to drive the Chevy tonight. So I imagine Ford might give him a call later if they're watching this one. Ricky Paz there in 8th spot. Gage Anderson for UTA in 9th. Austin Trainer in 10th. Athena Leclerc in 11th for St. Clair's College. Grant Lemkel for St. Louis in 12th. Cody Fadenhauer in 13th. Hagen Johnson in 14th. Andrew Williams in 15th. Ethan Head in 16th. Nathan Brunga in 17th. And then Samuel Scherer in 18th. So 18 cars here tonight, guys, taking part in this last chance qualifier, and 15 laps ahead of them to make their way to that top 10.
Yeah, and these drivers gonna roll off here, paying attention to their qualifying and what they have learned. And you can see there, FIU, the University of Iowa, Pittsburgh State, a lot of these guys getting ready to go. And guys, I'm going to point out that the 65 machine, he had a great experience in the LCQ at Texas with a little bit of tire strategy. So I'm looking forward to what that car can do. Obviously, not quite the same situation. Pretty good starting position for those guys so far, but it will be fun to watch and see what the Panther Esports does during this event here. So as you see there running down, we have a full grid. Clemson University also joining in here, and then you see VCU's Cody Fadenhauer taking part, as well as the Volunteers from the University of Tennessee, and then one more Clemson machine. But the leader, guys, is heading out. Lights off on the pace car, big old track. We're going to go green next time by. See the University of Iowa there. And if somebody's going to try to get around this Christian Gomez car, then you can bet it's going to be this gentleman on the outside.
Yeah, I think last 2 weeks ago, Christian Gomez also took part in the last chance qualifier and had to fight his way up the field. Seems like he kind of likes doing that. I imagine he would like some helping to points even more so. So we'll keep an eye on that Gomez machine throughout the night, but he's in a good position to take over what would be the 27th spot on the grid in the feature race at the moment. So at the moment, actually, as we roll off here, Austin Trainer would be the final car in 10th spot, though we can expect this field to shift around a fair amount. Should be some short cautions here if there are any, but pace car lights are out here, Jared, as we go through turn 2 down to turn 3, and this race is about to get underway.
And you said it right there. Keep in mind there are cautions during this. It'll be 15 laps or 20 minutes, whichever comes first. You'll be able to pay attention to that as on the scoring tower on the left side of your screen. Field heading into turn 3. No turn 4 here at the Tricky Triangle, and we are going to get set to go here momentarily. Field all the way through turn 3. Starter with the green flag in the air. Pace car going to take that left-hand turn out of this long pit lane. And the last chance qualifier is underway as the field throttles on up down this long front straightaway, and they will fan out 2, 3, maybe even 4 wide.
Christian Gomez not sure where to go. Too many lanes to block. There's 5. There's 6. Now we're going to file back in line. Try and get it down to 3 if we can. 3 wide down into turn 1. Everybody playing fair so far. Spotters cannot talk fast enough. But your leader right now is FIU. Loose is the 5 car of Clemson, and the 39 VCU and the 39 machine. Contact will be made in turn 1. Guys, we predicted it. Would it happen? And penalties forthcoming, and maybe a few fast repairs. However, a lot of these guys, and we'll have to break that down. Maybe we can get some slow motion replays, but tough one there. As it looked like I saw the VCU machine and I saw the 39 machine, but I was not sure where we got started, guys.
Yeah, we'll take a look here. It happened on the exit of turn 2. That's the VCU machine up there on now the left-hand side of your screen. It looked like he may have touched the wall. I couldn't quite tell exactly what all kicked it off, but yeah, a lot of cars involved there. We see a car crabbing down there with some steering damage. So yeah, VCU gets turned. It looks like the number 13, that's going to be Grant Lemcool turning that VCU machine and then collecting a whole group of other cars. The 804 involved, Cody Fadenhauer, the other VCU machine out there in the field. Sorry, that was actually Jeffrey Ford in the 82 machine that got turned originally. 39 actually might have been one of the first cars to get turned. A lot happening there. Actually can't quite keep up with it all, but Austin Trainer also involved there. So a lot of guys going to have to come down pit lane and take advantage of that quick repair.
They are, and watching that, looked like VCU and Fadenhauer expected a little bit more room up high. Obviously, Lemcool staying low right there, so hard to judge, certainly. Though you got to know, guys, it's everyone is fanned out through the front stretch into turn 1. You have to know where your spotter is, and if he says, bottom of 3, You gotta know you want to leave some room, and you know that it's turn one at Pocono. You cannot use the whole track, and so maybe a learning opportunity for some of these guys. It's difficult, John, when you want to place blame. You want to say, well, it's not my department, but here when we are on the same track, it's a little bit of everybody's department.
Yeah, indeed it is. The 804, Cody Fadenhauer, a lot of steering damage on that car, crabbing at a good 10-degree angle across the track. He will have to come down to pit lane to get that fixed here. I don't know if the pits are open at the moment. It looked like Austin Trainer was already on pit road. I think he took the tow down there. Lots of issues at the moment for some cars back there. Right now, looking good for Christian Gomez, though. He wants these guys to keep doing more of that. That's going to help him hang on to the lead in the last chance qualifier. We see pits are open now. 4 cars coming down here to get that quick repair. And we'll see where they fall back out into, but it will be certainly at the end of the field. They should stay on this lead lap, though, Josh. So no worries for them there. And there will be some more opportunities here. 13 left to go, only a 15-lap race here. So a bit more of a sprint race type format, and no tires or fuel needed throughout the race for these guys.
It is, and so we're going to see a couple things if that can set the tone for these guys to understand that they can't all have the track to themselves. It'll be a little bit different, and these drivers will have those decisions and wisdom to be placed as we go through here. So, guys, I'm seeing Colin Copa from University of Indiana making a pretty good showing. Got through that, stayed ahead of it, and is also making a solid play. Would be transferring right now at top 10, and your 10th place driver right now, Athena Leclerc from St. Clair College. They're in Ontario, Canada. So that's going to be your 10th driver and final transfer spot, keeping that Toyota machine clean. Toyota Camry there, 61. So a couple drivers to watch throughout this race, and then hopefully throughout the night, guys.
Yeah, St. Clair College, they're just across the river from Detroit. They're in Windsor. But tell you what, Josh, a number of cars benefited from that one. It looks like Grant Lemcool. We'll see if he gets a penalty or not for that one. But he moved up 5 spots, actually. He's running in 7th at the moment, starting in 12th in this race, so looking good there. Andrew Williams also benefiting, moving up from 15th to 8th. And Ethan Head moving from 16th all the way up to 9th position. So it looks like the guys that were able to check up out of that are going to benefit from that earlier wreck. And pace car light's still on at the moment. They should probably go out this next time by. So one more to go at the line here for these guys. So guys are going to get back in the zone, get their cars in the right gear, and get ready for this restart. Jarrett?
Yeah, and I think something else we can think about as you see the field on this long front straightaway. We just saw how these drivers are going to attack that front straightaway. We saw how they're going to attack turn 1. And every driver that qualified in that top 26 is watching what you guys are watching at home with us right now. So they're seeing, hey, this is the strategy. Hey, this didn't work. And we heard guys a little apprehensive about turn 1 because what you just saw, we can go 3, 4, 5 wide, and then everyone's got to settle it back out because turn 2 gets pretty tight down there in the tunnel turn. So guys in that feature race, maybe trying to take a little notes, especially guys who have teammates here in this LCQ. Josh?
Yeah, certainly. You want your teammates next to you, talking to you, and obviously guiding you through. We just saw Talladega. Teammates, very important, naturally. No pit stops in the LCQ, but we will have pit stops, the drivers will have to make pit stops in the feature race, and then that will be important to have some friends. John, you mentioned not as much drafting help, but it is very important to be able to drive around guys that you trust and work with. So going to be a little bit tricky right there.
Yeah, and we are getting the report there from Race Control. No instant blame responsibility assigned in that one, so looks like that was a bit of a racing incident between all drivers involved. To be expected at the start of the race, both on the road and oval series, guys tend to be a little bit more forgiving as far as cars making contact because everybody's all grouped up there. You expect all the cars to be battling pretty hard for positions. So no blame assigned there, so no penalties to assess, and everybody's ready to get going here again. Jarrett, we're coming through turn 3, about to take that green flag.
You can see all these NASCAR Cup cars getting ready to fire on off. And a little interesting take, you might be able to fire off in first gear here. It's tricky to do, but we might see someone try to do it late in the race. That pace car just goes flying on a pit road, green flag back in the air, and we'll see who fans out. We're 3 wide in the back. Christian Gomez down to the bottom. He's going to block the bottom. There goes the VCU of Fadenhauer as they dive into turn 1. Josh?
going down into turn 1, a little bit of a push from Culpa, and yeah, diving out and then back down in line to get that run. So moving back in the field, still 3 wide, drifting up the track just a bit. Is that machine there with the pink on it, I believe. But everybody makes it through turn 1 this time. Drivers deciding 2 wide is good enough for now. Now it's the tunnel turn coming up. And John, this is one of the trickier spots on the racetrack.
Yeah, trickier spots. This one feels more like a road course. Scott Ratliff, and I believe that was the Colin Culpa's machine, possibly. No, it's the 812 of Zach Phillips making a little bit of contact there, right mid-corner, as a couple guys moving down to get a block down here into turn 3. Big turn for the number 19 machine, getting pushed along by the 199. Jeremy Miller and pushing that 19 along there, getting a big turn on the left rear corner panel, and that car is stopped on track. Going to bring out our second caution of the night. This is not a great look for the 19 machine at the moment.
Yeah, very tough. The 199 machine going through. And I think guys just pushing right there. No brakes, though, from the 199 machine. Not sure what the word was there. Also kind of tough when the car in front of you is stopping. Then it's a little bit tricky to get that slowed up. So we'll have to see how that one shakes out. But, yeah, this was your turn 2 battle, side by side, a little bit of contact and well held from those drivers. And, yeah, right here. So you know what? I think that the 199 car, Purdue probably did not approve of that block and decided that was done. And guys, that 199 car is going to be in the hauler after this race. That'll be a penalty point for him, and then perhaps some extra words as well.
Yeah, at first glance, it looked like to me the 19 may have put a double block on him, and technically legal in the Oval Series if you don't make contact, but it turns out I think it was that initial turn on the left rear quarter panel that I saw. But we'll hear from race control in a moment, Josh, if that indeed is a penalty or not. Guys are going to assess that and review the incident and assign responsibility if it is needed. But again, Gomez up at the front, he's going to tell these guys, keep doing that. That's just going to make my job easier here for getting into the feature race up there at the front of the pack. So Scott Ratliff actually going to come down pit lane. I don't know if he's got a little bit of damage on the side of that car or something else, but we'll try to catch up with him and see what's going on there. And a couple other cars. I don't think anybody else is coming down pit lane at the moment. Actually, Scott Ratliff just taking the short line, actually, through turn 3. So a bit of a different strategy there. Scott Ratliff, 2 cars in the back there coming down pit lane. It looked like Millerin coming down pit lane and 1 other car. Didn't quite catch who that was, but it looks like Johnson is out. Hagen Johnson involved in that earlier instance, going to go 4 laps down and retire from this race at the moment. So Jeremy Millerin there for Purdue University, and Ricky Paz, the 2 cars involved in that incident, coming down to pit lane.
Yeah, Ricky Paz here. Newcomer to CIL, was in pretty good position after that one, but just the wrong place, wrong time, right behind those 2 cars as they got together. And you see it's going to be tires for that Purdue machine, Jeremy Millerin. And, yeah, tough look for the Boilermakers there. Had some fans in chat, but not quite the look we wanted to see from that group.
Guys, are we surprised by the amount of cautions we've seen in the last chance qualifier? In the previous 2, we've had very clean races. So are you surprised by 2 cautions in about 5 laps, John?
Yeah, I am a little bit surprised. But at the same time, these guys are fighting pretty hard because they know they have to make it to that top 10, and there's only a handful of laps to get that done. So the aggression level at the start of this race is probably a little bit higher than what we're going to see at the feature, where we've got a full 40 laps to complete. So maybe those higher aggression levels are contributing to a little bit closer contact between the cars. Even experienced guys like Scott Ratliff, who went door-to-door with the 812 machine. I wouldn't expect to see that through turn 2. They closed right down on top of each other, and both managed to stay out of the apron and out of the wall, so credit to them in terms of driving ability. But, yeah, Josh, I'm not sure, man. I think the aggression level is a little bit high at the moment.
I think it is a little bit high. I think we have a couple groups that are a little bit hasty. I'm excited to get going, and so that'll be emotions. As long as you have humans, you'll have emotions. That'll have to be sorted out, but hopefully we can get those worked through, and then we can go through and we'll get this race lapped up. 9 to go on your screen. It looks like we're going to get the green next time by currently yellow flag. So see these guys getting together, would have their tires, their faster pair, the fuel they need to get to the end, and we'll see what happens from there.
Yeah, we're hearing from race control. Ricky Paz has been given an end-of-the-line penalty, so he will fall to the back of the pack right now, starting in 17th on this restart. So he's got a lot of work to do if he's going to make it up 7 positions. Got some good cars in front he has to pass as well. Athena Leclerc, Gage Anderson, Nathan Brungut. Quite a few cars out there that are going to put up a good battle for him to try to make his way back up towards the front of the pack. Colin Kulpa at the moment has moved up 4 positions since the start of this last chance qualifier. Started in 6th, now running in 2nd. Scott Ratliff moved up 1 position from 4th to 3rd. Zach Phillip fell in back 2 positions. Andrew Williams, the big mover in the field at the moment, moving up a full 10 positions from 15th all the way up there to 5th. So Ethan Head, Ethan Head currently running in 6th on my screen as they last went past the ticker. But Nicholas Stockner, Grant Lemcool, Cody Fadenhauer, Fadenhauer being the last car in the 10th spot will probably make it through to the feature race.
Correctamundo, the top 10 going to the feature from what you see here, the LCQ. Currently, drivers have 15 laps to try and maintain the cars that did not get in on speed. These are drivers that qualified, were outside the top 26, and the top 10 will go to fill the field of 36 that we are going to see in 8 laps time. So you see the lights out on the pace car. We're in turn 3 right now, and these guys getting bunched up together and trying to figure out how they're going to get around this triangle 7 more times and how they can put themselves in position. And here we go, Jarrett, bring us the green flag.
So back to the green flag once again. 7 laps to go when they hit the line. Just about 6 minutes and 30 seconds left to go before we hit that 20-minute time limit. Down the front straightaway, the back of the field spreading on out. The front of the field going to stay too wide for the moment. Culpa slides down to the bottom. He'll tuck in behind Gomez as they head into turn 1.
Going down in turn 1, looks like contact is going to be made between Iowa and Scott Ratliff. That's going to be, I believe, Zach Phillips from the University of Iowa. And we're going to try this one more time. Not sure if there was contact. Maybe somebody thought they were going down into the turn. We know it's tough going 2 by 2 down in there. But we'll have to see the replay to understand what happened there.
Yeah, so that's going to be Scott Ratliff and Zach Phillips in this one. Scott just started to wash up the field and straight into the door of the 812 machine and collects. That might have been a Clemson car that got collected there. I'm not sure if that was 23 of Andrew Williams. I saw some orange on that car. But yeah, not a great look here going into turn 1. We don't like to see a lot of these. And, Josh, with a new rule being added as of a result of the race 2 weeks ago, this is going to add to their strike count. So every strike that these guys add penalizes them in future races up to potentially a race ban if they incur, I think, up to 3 incidents. So not great for any of these guys. 3 cautions now and probably going to be 2 penalty points at least assigned. So that was the 59 machine that was involved with that one as well. The 59 being Samuel Scherer. So not great for Sam's tonight, or Sam's chances tonight at the minimum. A lot of cars coming down here onto pit lane to get that damage fixed, but yeah, not a great look at the moment.
No, it's not good. I'm not sure if the 747 machine thought that they had room up high, just didn't understand maybe where that car was up high. Going to see if we can get a quickie caution worked out here. And this race may come down to time. There is a time limit on these races in case something like this happens. And we've allotted it 20 minutes. I'm looking at about 18 or 19 minutes on the clock right now. So we will cross the start-finish line, and then we will be able to see where these shake out, and we'll send the top 10 to the feature race.
Yeah, so I see people in the chat talking about those penalty points, and they will pile up over time, and they can pile up really quick here. Some guys could even get a race ban as soon as next race if they continue to turn cars around like that and be at fault, for instance. But, with only 5 left to go, it's looking good for these cars up here at the front of the pack. Andrew Williams, Colin Culpa, and Christian Gomez, the front 3 at the moment, not having to run a lot of laps on hard pace at the moment, so not even taking any life out of the tires, not even taking out a lot of fuel out of the tank. Fadenhauer chatting with a couple guys. They're probably not too happy about the amount of cautions in here, as I'm sure some of the fans out there watching are not either. But 65 of Gomez, the FIU Esports, Panther Esports machine, right now sitting behind the pace car with Indiana just hot on his tail. And Clemson sitting in there in 3rd. And looks like it's going to be Austin Trainer, currently the last car to make it through. Actually, it looks like Millerin in the 199 would be the last car to make it through. If this hopefully it doesn't finish under yellow, Josh. I'm hoping it doesn't at the minute.
Yeah, I'm not sure. We'll have to check that clock. iRacing will tell us when we get to that point, but light's still on the pace car, so not sure if we will see it this time by or what, but we know these are long pace laps at Pocono Raceway. And I don't know if we can check the onboards, bring someone in, but we know that these guys are definitely at the point now, John, where they're thinking about who can we rely on and what's my strategy. John, unfortunately, we've only seen a handful of laps that these guys have done, but it's going to be pretty tricky to go into the feature race without a big notebook.
Yeah, indeed. You know what else this is not helping? Everybody that did make it through the feature race isn't really seeing what the lines are working here on. We would hope to learn from this if the high line is going to work around turn 3, or if you want to switch the low line for turn 1, and so on and so forth. And it's just not, that information is just not getting out there because these guys aren't getting the chance to race. Too many aggressive blocks are being thrown down there. Too many guys not checking their mirrors and listening to their spotters. So guys just drifting up into one another, and it's not going to help them out too much for those other guys that have made it through the feature race. But we'll see if we can get some clean racing here with 4 to go. Pace car lights are out. FIU still leading this field away, as he has done the entire last chance qualifier. And he probably doesn't mind, but for all us up here in the booth and anybody watching at home, we want to see some good, clean racing. So let's hope we get that with 4 to go here. Jarrett, what do you think? Any predictions here with 4 to go?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned 4 to go. The clock's just sitting at 1:45, so we might get the green and the white flags simultaneously, and that'll be a wild finish if we get there. You guys mentioned that 10th transfer spot, Austin Trainer currently sitting there, Jeremy Miller in right up there as well, and Ricky Paz trying to sneak his way into the feature as well. So guys, as we start to think about this a little more, you mentioned the guys in that feature race. Does that change your mindset at all, seeing as much yellow as we've seen? Maybe there's a little gentleman's agreement to get through a couple of laps in the feature race. What do you think the strategy is going to be, John?
Yeah, I sure hope so, man. I hope these guys are watching it and know that, like, man, looks like contact's real easy here, and it's going to turn a car pretty quick. So I hope they're all chatting to each other in the Discord, and maybe in the chat in the Discord, and saying, you know, hey, let's take it easy these first few laps. Let's find the groove. Let's get the tires up to temperature. Let's take our time with this one. With a 40-lap race, there's plenty of time to make your moves at the end of the race. So let's wait for those cautions to come out later in the race, if anything. Come down, maybe get some green flag stops, and but for now, Jarrett, looks like that pace car is going to pull off and takes to that green flag.
The flag in the hand of Barney, the flag man, and he's going to wave it as we get set to go. Once again, the car's throttling on up through that front straightaway. And once again, they're going to go down to the bottom. Little touch right there. That's Gage Anderson. Put a door. But the leaders get away. It's Gomez, Williams, and Culpa, your top 3.
Gomez likes that move. He likes to get out, get a good run down into turn 1. You can see that's where these guys are going to bunch up. Your momentum, your speed carries you off. You can see right there, Purdue still not sure where to put that car, but this time they have enough space to do it. Christian Gomez, a little bit defensive, but smart and clean. We like that. He's out in front, and the University of Indiana has decided just to play it safe. They'll make it into that future race if they keep up. Car is going to be tight up against that wall, but they'll make it out of turn 2, going down now into the front, and it looks like we will have trouble, but we will stay green for now as we go back to your leader. That's going to be FIU, Christian Gomez. That's going to be Gomez. He'll bring it down to the LCQ, but no matter. He'll bring it down and collect that win. He's having a good time. Guys, I see Nathan Brungett, University of Lynchburg, bringing it home 3rd place. That's good. Ricky Paz, tough start, but Valparaiso University will bring it through there. And your P10 driver, Athena Leclerc, also bringing it home, and we will see her in about 5 minutes' time for the feature race. Guys, some pretty good stuff coming to that flag.
Yeah, good move there from Leclerc to make it up there into 10th, and it looked like the 13 of Lemcool maybe turned the 91 of Anderson there on. It might have been the exit of 2. I'm not quite sure there, but yep, good finish there at the end for those top 10 cars, and we're looking forward to that feature race here coming up shortly. We've got a 5-minute warm-up interim, so anybody that was watching that from their sim rig waiting to take part in that will get out there and get warmed up now, figure out those grooves, get back in the mindset that they're going to need to start this race. And Jarrett, you got any big predictions here? I think we already talked about what drivers we're looking at this one, and I know I said Henry Morse, but any other predictions you got going into this?
Yeah, I think we're really going to see guys get out in front, guys single file for a little bit, and just see where these tires go. We mentioned it's a little bit hotter of a track here tonight as we look at the weather on your screen. 72 degrees ambient, 115 on the track. And turn 3 starts to get quite tough when those tires get worn. I think we'll see the drivers want to find out what the tires have late in the run. So guys out on the track right now, and Josh, are you going to change your pick to win, or are you sticking with yours tonight?
No, sir. Going to stick with Grand Canyon University. Piloted in that number 15 car. Derek Jennings, man, he's qualified up there, top 10, I think 6th. I saw him at the end of qualifying. I don't know if that stuck, but no, he's got the pace. He knows how to get around. And guys, he's in front of most of the bedlam that is going to be behind him. And so I'm looking forward to that to make sure that works out. And I think, yeah, I'm going to stick with my pick, Derek Jennings, in that 15 machine.
Yeah, I think I'm going to stick with my pick. The number 44 had a great job in qualifying to put it in the top 10, and he's had some pace so far this season, and a lot last season too. Had a lot of support there in the chat as well, and Twitch and whatnot. So hopefully that 44 machine can put some moves on here tonight, and hopefully snag that podium. But a lot of cars in front and a lot of cars behind, and so plenty of opportunity here for a lot of folks in this race. I know that FIU team's got some work to do there to move it up from that 27th spot that they're going to be starting in. And Carl Lemcool there, St. Louis on your screen at the moment, getting warmed up there out there on track. Grand Canyon University trying to work with some cars behind and learn some traffic moves out there at Pocono. And yeah, we'll see. Hopefully we can stay green at least through that first lap, and that'll give guys a chance to get settled down there and get in that groove. A&M University slinging it out there around turn 13. Robert Morris University bringing it down there onto the apron on the front stretch. A couple other guys getting here into pit lane. So 2.5 minutes elapsed in this warm-up. Jarrett, not too far off from the feature race.
No, not at all. And this is where the cream is going to rise to the top here. And you might notice on the banners of each of these cars, green and red banners, also with green and red spoilers. That signifies students and alumni. You'll see the alumni with the red banner and spoiler, and the students have that green windshield banner and spoiler. So if you're wondering why each cars have those different things, nope, there's no playoff here in the CIL. It's just a 6-race regular season with a champion at the end. That's that student-alumni split as we all race on one single track here tonight.
Yeah, and so I mentioned a little bit earlier that there's a slightly different penalty system to what we've run earlier as a result of some of the cautions that we had last week, or sorry, 2 weeks ago out there at, where did we race? We were at Texas 2 weeks ago. So everybody starts off at 4 points right now on the CIL penalty point chart. And so if you are assessed a penalty, that means you were at fault for an instant, and you move down a penalty point to 3 and then 2. And so your first strike is automatically a 1-lap penalty. So you'll go 1 lap down compared to the leader on the field. If you get another penalty past that, you'll get a 2-lap penalty. And then anything past that, you'll be parked. And so that's what we're looking at tonight. Couple guys already racking up those strikes. So hopefully not too much more of that in front of us, but we've got some points on offer. Let's get a quick points rundown of the Oval Series as it runs right now. So in the lead at the moment, Austin Farr with 85 points in the driver's standing. Santiago Torres just 3 points behind, and Jared Kaler just 7 points behind Austin Farr as well. So UNC currently occupying the second and third spots, and Henry Morris for Cal Berkeley, is 25 points behind Austin Farr. Over on the alumni side, Jeremy Rogers is currently leading the alumni on 101 points. Robbie Vrabel Jr., who I think was having some machine issues here tonight, is 30 points down at the moment, but was able to take the fastest qualifier and fastest lap of that last race. So St. Clair College got plenty of pace in that alumni machine. And then Scott Ratliff, the 747 from Pittsburgh State, 34 points down on Jeremy Rogers. So that's your top 3 here. Jarrett, do we see these points changing any? With 3 points difference between Austin Farr and Santiago Torres, I'm sure that's on their mind here. But, I at the same time, I'm thinking back to our conversation last week with Austin Farr, where he says he doesn't really think about the points. He just comes in here and tries to race his best race every week. And what do you think that's going to play into here tonight?
Yeah, and you said it right there, that he comes in and he just runs the race how he should. And sure, he's battling a group of 2 guys from UNC Charlotte, both in Jared Kaler and Santiago Torres, but he's just going to run his race. I think he's going to stay clean all night long, and I think the 79 might jump into the points lead before the night's over. write that down and check with me back at the end of the race. But I think Austin Farr has it in him to sneak out maybe a win, or maybe sneak by Santiago Perez and that UNC Charlotte team.
Yeah, if we remember back to the opening at what was it? It was at Daytona, I believe. He made that fantastic last lap pass on the outside of turn 4 to beat Santiago to the Rhine. Bit of contact between those arrived at the line actually. So then it was Farr, Perez, and the FIU machine of Gomez there to take 1, 2, 3 at the finish. So here, as we run off to the feature race, we have your results here right now. The grid, Santiago Perez going to lead this field to the green flag. UNC Charlotte taking the first position. Austin Farr for Tennessee in second. So watch these two throughout the night. They're going to have a great battle on their hands. Matthew Norberg for NC State running off third. Sean Campbell, a great result to put it up into fourth for Randolph. And then Joshua Tiggs in fifth, Buena Vista University. Henry Morse for UC Berkeley in sixth. Robbie Vrabel Jr. for St. Clair in seventh, Derek Jennings in eighth for Grand Canyon University, Jeremy Rogers in ninth for Texas A&M, and then Jared Kaler for UNC Charlotte finishing out your top 10.
Carrying on down your starting grid, Kenneth Talbot from University of Alabama at Huntsville will roll off 11th. Carl Lemkool from St. Louis University starting all the way up in 12th. Good start for Carl. See if he can sneak his way maybe into the top 10 before the night's over. Esteban Munoz from that Panther Esports team rolls off 13th. Andrew McCall from Purdue in 14th. Edwin Onefre from North Texas rolling off 15th in just his second CIL race. Matthew Tucker from Jacksonville State rolls off 16th. Jared Grodzicki from Kansas State, one of the better looking paints in the field, rolls off 17th. And Ryan Whitlock from Huntsville as well starts in 18th. Ryan Lusich from North Texas will roll off 19th. The Ryan Fenty from St. Joseph's in New York will start 20th. Austin DeLong from the Penn College of Technology will start 21st. Alexander Gagnon from Robert Morris, one of our multiple Robert Morris drivers, starts 22nd. Ethan Morris from Tennessee rolls off 23rd. Tyler Watts, 24th. And carrying on, Zach Lindler, Bradley Daniels, Christian Gomez, Colin Kolpa, and the rest of that LCQ that you just watched finished out with Athena Leclerc, your 36th and final driver here tonight. As we head down toward the green flag, we'll head out of turn 3, and Santiago Perez will have the field in his hands. On his outside will be Austin Farr, and you see Matthew Norberg and Sean Campbell making up row number 2. Jared Kaler all the way back there in 10th. He'll try to make his way up and help his teammate. Green flag in the air. Back of the field going to spread on out, but the front of the field going to go 2 by 2. Trouble on the front straightaway, and it's the 28 car, I believe. That's going to be Joshua Tiggs, and the yellow's out here on lap number 1.
Joshua Tiggs from Buena Vista University. And so we are going to go and rack them and stack them one more time. Not sure what was there, but it looks like everybody checking up, trying to agree on where to be. And you see Vrabel Jr. behind a little pass. Looks like Matthew Norberg, actually. I don't know if he missed a shift or did not get situated. And then, sitting right there, that Pocono inside wall bouncing back across the track. I'm going to have to look at that 76 machine and understand what Matthew Norberg was trying to do there. Guys, look at that car. I think he just missed a shift, wasn't there. And then, the 28 with nowhere to go, you got to react. But really looking at the 76 to understand, if it was a missed shift or spun the tires. I probably wouldn't say, spinning the tires with fresh new tires. But, that 76 car is where I'm looking, guys.
Yeah, it definitely looked like a misshift there for me, Josh. And you can't just react to that because there's cars right behind you. They're going to run straight into the back of you, and that's exactly what happened there. So hard to assess blame there. Norberg, that's an honest mistake for missing a shift. But really unfortunate for Tiggs to come up on the short end of the stick in that situation, and not what we wanted to see on the first lap here. And the UNC Charlotte machine, though, probably doesn't mind too much. He's used to running out there at the front from the Coke Series all the way to the CIL. And came up second in both the last 2 races here. So Gomez currently occupying the 25th position, had that third place finish at Daytona as well. So Tennessee currently sitting in second as well. Sean Campbell is going to move up 1 spot, I believe, to third. Henry Morse is going to move up to third. Matthew Norberg is going to drop down to 5th from that one. And Derek Jennings is also going to move up 2 spots from the calamity there on the start. Let's hope we get a little bit more clean run and green flag racing here, guys.
Yeah, I think so. And these guys will have the ability to understand what's going on and get back and settled. Maybe a little bit spooked from that incident, but coming down now as I see actually the 083 car head to pit road. So not sure when we'll go green, but these cars would have just pitted and are now back to trying to catch up to the rest of the field.
So
Yeah,
yellow
catching
flag out for the first time here tonight at Pocono in the feature race. Santiago Perez started off on the pole. He holds onto it, but a little calamity you saw there in row number 3. Henry Morse surviving as well. He picks up a couple of spots. He's all the way up to 4th. So, John, your pick to win starting to look pretty good here early.
Yeah, I'm feeling good for my chances. I had a good time in that first race. I think I'd picked Austin Farr, and I'm looking back at my notes here, and yes, I did. So I am 1 for 2 so far here on the season. I'll try to keep that one going. Maybe win a little bit of money for myself here at the end of the night. Maybe we can get these into Vegas and get some bets going, or maybe not. Probably not so legal in Texas. Plenty of things are legal here in Texas. Betting, not so much one of them. But looking good for UNC Charlotte up there in the front at the moment. I'm looking forward to seeing how he and Austin Farr get along throughout this race. We've seen Austin Farr say, I know, guys, I'm okay with just sitting on his bumper. I don't have to be leading the entire time. And in fact, I almost prefer to sit back here on his bumper. It's going to give me a lot of information to know how he races, and it's going to give me an opportunity to save a little bit of fuel, save a little bit of tire, and just put some blocks on the guys behind and just bide my time until I get closer to the end of the race where I do start to have making those moves. So it's a great strategy. It minimizes the risk throughout the race because you don't have to keep sticking your nose in there on the inside of the corner every single time. And it just lets Santiago Perez and Austin Farr lead the field for most of the time. So I'm wondering, Josh, if we're going to see more of that here tonight.
Yeah, I think so. It'll be tough to battle out, and it's going to be close for these guys. But we have a couple of fast guys up front, smart faces. Looking at Sean Campbell, too. He's a driver from Randolph that we always see up front at both the roadside and the oval side. Going to go green here. But, yeah, it's tough for these guys to get going, and we're going to see it here when we go down into turn 1 again, looking for these guys to hit all their shifts this time. And we should have some exciting things should we get a couple laps under our belts at Pocono here.
Yeah, so guys getting paired on up here as we come through the exit of turn 1, Grand Canyon University in that lovely, white and purple livery there on that car in particular. So Matthew Norberg on your screen at the moment for NC State, the Wolfpack machine there. Always that fantastic livery on that car. Hopefully you can grab that gear as he needs it here on the restart. If not, hopefully he dives out of the line. That's maybe the one other thing that you can do in that situation. You missed the gear, and you've got a train of cars that are roaring to get started here, and so you might want to dive out of the line next time. No IMSA rules. Don't have to stay paired up the entire time until you cross the start finish. You can move pretty early here. But we'll see what happens here as we get going here on lap 4 of 40 here. So plenty of racing left to go here tonight. And Jarrett, pace car lights are out, coming here through turn 2 on the short stretch, and we're about to get going here.
And a gentle reminder for those of you watching at home, there is no time limit, so we're going to be here for all 40 laps here tonight, and I'm sure some of those under green are coming, so be patient, and we will get some of this good racing action and see all these drivers mix it up here at the Tricky Triangle. Pace car going to take that hard left-hand turn onto pit lane, and Santiago Perez, field in his hands now. He does not have to wait for the green flag, so he will go early. That'll help the field on out just a little bit. Austin Farr kind of hung out to dry on the top side, a little mixing up further back. But the top 2 will go single file. Henry Morse slides in that 3rd spot.
Down into turn 1, everybody. Up there using that wall. Now the University of North Carolina at Charlotte will lead the field around. Back there you see Purdue and then Tennessee following. Randolph College hanging out a little bit low. Maybe he didn't like his spot in line or didn't like what he was doing. Henry Morse there looking good in that 44 machine, guys. And my pick, the number 15 Grand Canyon University car. But, guys, I'm looking at 5th place is another one. That is University of North Carolina at Charlotte again, who's going to be trying to get up paired up with his teammate, but he's got a big mirror full of Randolph College right now.
Yeah, A&M University a little bit further back is going to get some help from Esteban Munoz on that low line. The only two guys going 2x2 in the field right now. Jeremy trying to make his way around Kenneth Talbot, but Kenneth is going to move his way just in front of that 112 machine, and they're going to slot back in line at the moment. The 55 going to take that position away from A&M. So A&M back down to 9th, Kenneth up to 8th at the moment. Guys popping out 3 wide as we come here into turn 1. Esteban Munoz in the middle. Looks like Carl Lemke up there on the top side, and the Purdue machine down there on the bottom. And guys are going 3 wide here pretty early to be making these moves, but so far so good here through turn 1.
Yeah, I don't know if they wanted to go 3 wide, but it ended up happening. They made it work. Now we're going to go 2 wide through the tunnel turn. Munoz trying to look to the low side. Lemke will give room. Purdue will wait their turn. Then everybody will get through turn 2. So that's a pass for FIU. And Panther Esports going to be cheering that driver on. And guys, not far behind is Christian Gomez, also in this field. And guys, I'm looking at these cars as they get through, everybody gets settled in. These cars show a lot of rotation, pretty strong slip angle as they go in through that turn 3 and they get set up there. That's going to help transfer the wear to that right rear tire so you're not so tight later in the run with your tires.
Yeah, which is really the goal here as we see North Texas trying to make a move down here on the low side on Indiana, it looks like, and just going to get that move done, I think. I think that low line is working for a lot of these guys, though it's going to hurt them a little bit on the exit, but it's also going to give them the optimum line here through turn 2 as we go 3 wide, maybe even 4 wide here into turn 2. Let's hope it all works out for once, and then Purdue able to keep his nose in front there at the moment. Carl Lemke just edging that car out there, giving a great amount of space there to the UNT machine. Good racing here so far through turn 2. And still 2x2 here. A little bit of rub in there for, I think, one of the other Tennessee machines back there. And so far, so good through turn 3 as well. It's looking good here at the moment. Big gaggle of cars here. Looking good for the leaders. If this keeps going, it looks like that gap between Jeremy Rogers and the Purdue machine of Andrew McCall is opening up a little bit.
Yeah, it is, and I'm seeing there the University of Alabama at Huntsville also had a chance to get around on the outside and took a little bit of shallower line off the corner, and that made it able to just straighten up that corner, make it real nice. I see great shot looking back right there. That's not what I want to see in my rear view mirror. A ton of guys. Tennessee, you see, it looks like St. Joe on the outside. We're going to go now into the tunnel turn, and these guys are going to have to, again, figure out how to get through those. Actually, I see Ryan Lusich maybe being a little bit cautious as he goes through turn 2. This is the second time we've really seen him be maybe a little bit extra patient as he goes through there, stays off competitors on the outside, and it is quite tough when somebody's on the outside as Lusich and North Texas now find a spot in line. It's tough to get back in line when you're on the inside right there and the cars are flying on the outside.
Yeah, he had no help. Nobody decided to follow him down there to the inside line, so no advantage from the draft behind. Nobody did push him, and that's what's going to happen. You're going to lose a couple spots there, so Lucic is going to slot back in there behind Austin DeLong and behind Ethan Miles Morris for the moment. I've got the 143 making a move here. Big contact. Looks like we're going to stay green. A little bit of quarter panel touch in there, it looked like, between those two cars, and I do have a yellow popping out here on my screen at the moment, so might be a car dead on track or just a little bit of a premature caution here from iRacing. But so far, that was a pretty good run there of five clean laps. We'll get a look at it here to see. A little bit of rubbing there on the front stretch. Looks like, who is this? Going to be the 06, the Indiana machine.
That's going to be Colin Copa from Indiana. Yeah, and there it actually looked like the Tennessee machine probably didn't leave a ton of room, and then Copa, right, with only inches to spare on either side. Yeah, probably. Yeah. If I am the Tennessee machine, I'm 8. I think you mentioned that was Ethan Head, if I'm correct there. Yeah, just probably could have left a little bit more space, especially guys with not even 10 laps into it.
Yeah, definitely could have left a little bit of space there. No need to squeeze anybody that too tightly up to the wall. That'll get you a big finger wave there from the race control officials, and I'm sure they're going to review that one, and if they feel the need to assess a penalty or a strike for that, they certainly will. So we're looking at it from up top here. I think he maybe missed that spotter call, if anything, and then realized much too late that there was a car there, because it looked like he was just trying to retake that optimum line into the corner. But there was one problem. There was a big old NASCAR machine sitting right there where he wanted to put that car, and so that's just not going to work for the moment. So we're on to our second caution of the night here in the feature race. Santiago Perez still leading out up front for the UNC team. And then Austin Farr for Tennessee still sitting in second. Henry Morris has moved up into third spot, so that's plus 3 positions for the 44 machine. UC Berkeley having a good night so far. Derek Jennings also moving up a handful of positions to sit in fourth, and Jared Kaler up 5 positions into fifth, I should say. So UNC got a car in first, got a car in fifth. Jared Kaler is going to be trying to make his way up there to help Santiago Perez a little bit and maybe put a gap between him and Austin Farr if he can. I'm sure that's what they're chatting about on their team radio if they've got it. And from what I've heard, this team is pretty tight-knit. They like to work together where they can, and I'm sure they're going to be talking about that.
Yeah, we know these drivers are in chat, in voice communications, talking together just like you would in real life. Looks like a couple drivers going to think about their choice there, but not quite. Yeah, always the mind games, trying to see if we're going to get on pit road or not. Some of these drivers just having a good time out here. And yeah, looks like we're all going to stay out. And John, probably a little bit early. We know it's 2 sets of tires for this whole race. Probably a little early for me personally to come through. Looks like some of us will be using a faster pair in this one. But yeah, I think that maybe lap 10, probably a little bit early for me to come down and get tires at this point.
Yeah, we've got a missing hood on the car for Nicholas Stockner. That would issue you a penalty in a lot of race series, and I'm sure NASCAR wants a hood on that car as well for safety reasons. But at the moment, yeah, good run there for 5 laps. Perez, Farr, Morse, Jennings, and Kaler up there in the top 5 at the moment. And it could be an alternate strategy for some guys to come down early and take tires now and then move their way to the front of the field. And then a little bit later in the race where there may be another caution, you can just stay out while everybody else has to come down and pit, and you'll be up there at the front of the field. Might be a good alternate strategy. We might see a couple cars that are a little bit further down on the field. Maybe Christian Gomez can use an alternate strategy here tonight. He's currently in 21st, moved up 6 positions from his starting spot in the feature race. Currently, the big movers are going to be Ryan Fenty up 6 positions and Christian Gomez. And Ethan Miles Morris up 7 positions, currently running in 16th at the moment. So a lot of big movers in this field and a couple losers as well. Robbie Vrabel Jr. has dropped 18 positions since the start of this race. The 083 not having a great night so far. Athena Leclerc also up 7 positions. The 61 machine so far moving up to 29th at the moment. And Joshua Tiggs, unfortunately, is down 28 spots from his original starting position, and currently occupying the last spot in the feature race is going to be Cody Fadenhauer at the moment. I think he just came down onto pit road, and yes, that is what my screen is showing me at the moment. So Fadenhauer with a new car out there, getting ready to go again.
Yeah, and it looks like we'll have lights off on the pace car this time by. Drivers will be able to get set up, get in the proper gear, and it'll be good to see what these guys can do. With a little bit of a run, get spread out. We know that cautions bring cautions, and you like to see that, once you get spread out, you would get some racing. And, John, we've talked about this Pocono track under green flag conditions can be exciting because you have some of these drivers that will run differently in lots of different corners. And so getting in, getting out, we've seen that one of the big tasks for these drivers here today is that they have to go through and understand what the drivers are doing. Just because you run a line, you get on the gas, you get on the brake at a certain point on the track and run a certain line does not mean that that's what you'll be able to do in traffic or even around 1 or 2 cars. And so every driver having to adjust corner by corner on the fly.
Yeah, Nick Stockner chatting out there. Joshua Tiggs getting in on the radio action as well, trying to talk to these drivers around him and say, hey, let's keep it green and keep it clean here at this restart. Jarrett, pace car lights are out. We're heading down here on this short stretch, and I think we're going to see another early restart here from Santiago. He got away exactly when that pace car pulled in there, and that's the Austin Farr strategy too, though. So I think he's trying to use a little bit of his own tactics against him.
Yeah, and you said it right there. Going when the pace car goes, it's not only going to help him out, it's going to help the field out because they're going to start to get a little more space in between each of those cars, and then everyone will kind of find where their puzzle piece fits. And that was kind of the theme of last run, is maybe you don't force it into a square peg when you're a circle hole, and you just kind of be patient. There's 40 laps in this race. Still got 28 to go, 27 when we hit the line. So guys, still do got to be patient. You still got plenty of time to make things work. Reminder that these laps are about 54 seconds in time. So plenty of time still to go here at Pocono as the green flag waving once again. Santiago with a great jump. Austin Farr kind of hung out to dry back there. Henry Morris going to go side by side.
Yeah, Henry Morris coming down here on the low line. Got some help from Jared Kaler just behind the 58, pushing that 44 there to get up in front of the Tennessee machine. Great strategy there from the 58. He may be able to even put the move on the Tennessee machine as well. UNC really working hard to get to the front of this field. A couple other cars still going side by side here onto the back stretch. UNC still hung out there to dry. He's not going to get any help, though, so that's going to lose him a couple positions. Going to have to slot in behind Derek Jennings for Grand Canyon, if anything, going side by side through turn 2. Looks like pretty clean racing so far. Jeremy Rogers getting a lot of space there on the inside of the NC State machine, and guys still going too wide here as we come through turn 2 down to turn 3, and looks like UNC is in 5th at the moment as we have another caution pop out. Must have happened a little bit further back in the field. Now it looks like, not quite sure what car number's on the side of that one. It's a green and yellow Mustang, though. I can tell you that much. It's going to be Robbie Vrabel with his second incident of the night, and not having a good time talking on the radio at the moment. Let's take a look and see what happened here. So car getting up into the wall on the X of the 2, and then comes down and collects the St. Clair College machine. Let's take a look and see what car it was that washed up wide there. Couldn't quite catch the number on that one, but
that's a 95 of Tyler Watts there, John.
The Tyler Watts not having a great run there on the exit to turn 2, maybe getting a little bit of extra speed there on the apex he didn't expect to have, and then touches the wall and didn't quite have the angle, unfortunately, and Robbie gets collected twice, unfortunately. Really tough night. I think he already took his fast repair as well. He has been down pit lane before, so I would suspect that he has taken that fast repair already. So really tough night for Robbie Vrabel Jr.
Yeah, and so these drivers trying to get out, and then in the voice chat also, drivers trying to understand maybe what the disconnect is. And some of these drivers getting a little bit grumpy that we're not having so many green flag laps. But going through, these drivers will have another opportunity to get squared away, and then we will conclude our caution here. Third on the night. Going through, what do we think, Jarrett, is coming up? And maybe at what point do we get to the middle stage of the race and settle down a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, you said it right there, but with the amount of caution laps we've had, we've seen guys run on the bottom of the track. You might have seen guys during the yellow flags running on the apron. When we were on board with Santiago Perez, we heard him clutching in. So guys saving fuel, maybe trying to make it all the way until the end. And with the long laps, that's definitely a strategy here. The cars are limited to 65% of the normal fuel capacity here. So they're not normally able to make it, but with the amount of caution laps, we're getting close to that point where you can make it on fuel. And I think that's definitely in the heads of a lot of guys here. John?
Yeah, definitely in the heads of them. They're going to be thinking about these strategies all the way throughout the night, and it's really going to depend on how these cautions fall. Some of them will benefit some of the drivers, maybe the guys that have pitted early, whether due to instance or otherwise, and that may benefit them a little bit later in the race. But like I said, it's going to really depend on how those cautions fall, if there are more cautions or if they're not. We have seen some green flag pit stops here before in the CIL, but not all too often as a couple guys get moved around here. And then we've got a driver up here to chat with us. And Brian, you got a copy there?
Yes, I do.
How you doing out there, man? What's going on down there on track?
It's stressful and there's people everywhere, and I'm trying to stay alive.
Well, you're doing good at the moment. Up 10 spots, currently running in 10th. And talk to us a little bit about your strategy tonight. Have you planned this one out, put plenty of practice in there, and got it all figured out?
Well, my strategy was to qualify way better than 20th, and then I started the qualifying session and qualified 20th because I just messed up every single lap. So my new strategy is to just copy what they're doing in front of me until it doesn't benefit me anymore and hope for the best.
I think it sounds like a pretty good strategy. What have you learned maybe? Have you learned anything about tires, a changing track? Has the track changed at all?
I don't think we've ran enough to tell just yet. I do know for a fact you don't want to get stuck on the inside if everyone is rolling on the outside, or you will get passed by everyone, especially on the front stretch.
Now we do want to know, we're looking at fuel mileage. How close are you on that?
It's like 6 laps, it's saying here. Fingers crossed, I don't know. Hope for the best.
Well, fingers crossed, hope for the best. Lights out on the pace car. We'll let you get to it. Good luck the rest of the way there, Ryan.
I'll try my best. Thank you very much.
Ryan Fenty, one of our in-car camera drivers here tonight. You saw him giving a little love to you guys out there at home. My pick to win. So far, he stayed out of trouble, made it into the top 10. You heard him qualified 20th. Looked really good in the practice session, so we'll see how that pays off later in this run. As you heard him right there, he's just going to copy the guys in front, but guys, that can be a little bit troublesome if you just pay attention to the bumper in front of you, and that's what we've seen a couple times here tonight. John?
Yeah, unfortunately so, but it looks like that draft is playing a big part here tonight. We saw Jared Kaler pop out of the draft and go that low side as well and get no help from behind. Nobody wanted to follow him there, and I think that's a testament to how many guys just want to run some clean laps here and tuck in a single file line and just get settled in there and then wait towards the end of the race to start make those moves. And that's obviously going to play into that strategy that Ryan just talked about with some, his lap number showing in his black box of how much fuel mileage he's getting. And but it's going to be tricky. We'll see how much we can get here. We can see how many laps we've got to go up there in the top left-hand corner. 25 laps left to go here at Pocono. Jarrett, we've got cars running here through turn 2. Pace car lights are out. We're getting ready to go again.
So getting ready to go green one more time. We'll see who behaves and who wants to get that position. And we mentioned it. Patience is going to go a long way here at Pocono. It's just a matter of being able to be committed to that race strategy. And sometimes it's hard to do. You see a gap, you want to go for it. That's just kind of racer's intuition. But we'll see how guys navigate the tricky triangle as we continue here. Morse on the outside now far on the inside right behind Therese. And you see Jared Kaler back there third in line. Top 3, 2x2. Derek Jennings. Josh has picked to win back there in 15th. He's going to try and push to 44. And here comes Austin Farr up to the top side. They slide in and we head into turn 1. Josh?
Another good push. Again, we know that these guys are the push guys both times from Jared Kaler has been very solid. Kaler now on the inside trying to stay off that Tennessee machine. Austin Farr looks like Purdue down very low. I see a lap car there, so going to go, and it's going to be the UNC Charlotte car back into turn 2, guys. The top 5 in line. Derek Jennings trying to get underneath, but that's going to be a tough move. He's going to have to lift, and it's going to be advantage Esteban Munoz, FIU. P5 or P6 after this. Looks like P5 according to your ticker above. You see Matthew Nordberg recovering from that missed shift earlier, followed by Jeremy Millerin in that 199 car. But your top 10 almost single file with the exception of a few. And now actually Randolph, Sean Campbell down behind the 15 car.
Yeah, 15 car looking for some help from the 30 at the moment. He's going to tuck back in line, though, and leave Sean Campbell out to dry. Only the A&M machine behind him to help out there. Looks like the 26 machine going to wash up the track a little bit. Ryan Fenty, talked to him just a moment ago, is going to tuck back in line here. A&M actually losing that spot to Ryan Fenty, as a matter of fact. So single file here in the top 10, 11, 12 cars, it looks like. And this is boding well there. Looked like Jared Kaler got a pretty good restart there, was able to move up a spot on Esteban Munoz, and was looking to make a move on Henry Morse. Couldn't quite get it done, but I think these guys know. They just got to bide their time in the moment. Looks like NC State looking to make a move maybe on the 112 machine. Not beyond, it's going to be tough there on the inside of 3. Not a lot of grip on the outside, not a lot of grip on the inside either, and not going to get a great run off the corner is the NC State machine. I think he's been going to be able to hang on to that position is the 112. And actually, now I say that, the Purdue machine looking to the low side on the 76.
Yeah, he is. So we saw the head to dive back in line was Nordberg there, but looking underneath North Texas, we cut back to this battle. University of Alabama at Huntsville on the outside. We've seen the outside is starting to pick up. That's the place they want to be. Grand Canyon University slots back in line. And so going down into turn 2, it's going to be a little bit of position changing. Guys, Alabama at Huntsville moving up a little bit.
Yeah, Huntsville looking good at the moment. Good set of drivers in that Huntsville team. As we see, it looks like the UNT and Purdue machines going side by side. Looks like that was through turn 2. And Christian Gomez trying to get in on the action as well. And into turn 3, going to go into single file, just slot right in front of that Tennessee machine. Good car control on display from all those drivers right there. But trying to pop out again, seeing if anybody's going to go with him. But it looks like no. He's going to get hung out there to dry again. And that's going to be a problem for him. He's going to lose that spot there to the back car, I think, in that group there before they get. No, he's going to have a space to slot back into. He's got some spotter help, it would seem, telling him where that space is, where he can get that car into. The Tennessee machine trying to work a move on the Purdue team, but that Purdue team's an alumni car. That is not for position in points. That is only for position on track, but that does matter. There's a big gap there from the NC State machine all the way back there to UNT. And so NC State currently running in 11th position. So Ryan Lusich is 1.6 seconds behind here in the field. Grand Canyon University popping out of line for the moment as well.
Yeah, and there you see Grand Canyon, see Ryan Fenty, St. Joe's University, then Randolph, followed by Texas A&M. And yeah, you mentioned it, the red and green banners not racing each other, but nonetheless, John, if you're a racer, you want to get around that banner so you can get up next to your guy or girl, and so that's going to be pretty important for these drivers. Riding on board now with Alabama at Huntsville. Going through, he's looking, but it's so hard to get underneath there and to make that work coming off the low side, especially out of turn one, but out of any of these corners, guys.
Yeah, I wonder if he's picking up a little bit of understeer following in the wake of the FIU team and just in front of him. And so he's trying to look for some clean air over the nose of that car as we follow him there through turn two. Great line there through turn two. Esteban Munoz just up in front, washing a little bit wide, in fact, on the turn, but in fact, able to carry a lot of speed there on the exit. You can see a good amount of rotation here on the entry to turn three, able to carry a lot of mid-apex speed. He's going to be right on the tail of that Panther Esports team, but I don't think he's going to pop out of line here. He won't get a lot of help if he tries to do that, but he's got a car looking up the inside at the moment. Ryan Fenty trying to put a move on the 55 down here into turn one. We'll see if he can make it stick. He doesn't have any help behind, but he will have the shortest line down there to the apex. We'll see if the 55 can have some grip there around the outside. Washes up a little bit wide, a little bit of body contact, but everybody's good and clean so far. Cannot make that move stick there. Not a lot of grip there to be found on the inside of turn one. Looks like Grand Canyon popping out of line there behind. He's going to tuck back in, though. Guys are pretty much single file here up at the front of the pack, and guys are filing out pretty well here, I would say. Now we've got another caution here tonight. Not quite sure where it happened. Somebody's pulling off here to the low side, it would look, and has caused this caution, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, I think so. I think the 89 machine, and not sure who on the roster. Looks like Ryan Whitlock, the other car from the University of Huntsville, or Alabama at Huntsville, but maybe getting off, towing, iRacing, sensing a car has stopped on the track. A little bit unfortunate there. You would want to bring that car down pit road, John, unless you maybe quite an emergency there somewhere in real life outside the sim rig.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and assume that's what it was. Otherwise, all these drivers know that you should probably bring it down pit lane. Otherwise, it will throw a caution like we see here. So we'll have a chat with him afterwards and see what happened there. But up there at the front, it still looks like Henry Morse has been able to hang on to that third position. The 44 UC Berkeley machine looking good here tonight. Jared Kaler moving up 6 spots, currently sitting in 4th. We saw him put a couple of moves there on at that last restart, just as with the previous one. Jared Kaler looking really racy here in these early laps of the feature race with 18 laps to go, over halfway done. Jared, I'm wondering if any of these guys are going to start to think about that fuel strategy, if they're going to come down and grab that new set of tires and get a fresh set of fuel into that tank.
I was just about to ask you. I'm watching the pit crews on pit road, and it looks like not a lot of action just yet. I gotta imagine the front guys are gonna stay out as long as they can. We've seen the history so far of this race be a lot of yellow. We heard about 6 laps short just a moment ago, so now probably 5, 4, 3 laps short. So guys might want to just kind of run this out. You don't want to be at the back of the field. So guys in the front, wouldn't be surprised if they stay out, but maybe some of the mid-pack is going to come down but take tires. But we'll see if these guys are actually heading down pit lane or they're going to fake it. Here they come, boys.
Yeah, hard on the brakes as well. Henry Morse almost in the back of Austin Farr. They're real late on the brakes, even though they were under pace car speed. And I wasn't all surprised to see Jared Kaler follow his teammate in there. We'll see what happens here with the race off pit road. This could be a big deciding factor. Austin Farr has historically been extremely good at the pit stops, but I have no doubt that Santiago Torres is as well. They are the front 2 pit stop lanes, or pit stop boxes, here in the pit lane. So let's take a look, see both guys getting up there on the right hand side tires at the same time, both down off the jacks. The left side tires about to go on as well. A couple cars already filing out there in the background, but Santiago Torres going to be able to hang on to that lead here on the exit of pit lane, Josh.
Yeah, coming off pit lane, and we know it is hard to pass on pit road. The way iRacing conducts pit stops, you really have to be flawless and have your opponent go over a mistake or two to gain a position. You really need about a second or so advantage, and that usually doesn't come just from the pit stop alone. And guys, I really don't expect it to see it from the top 5 or 10 drivers that we've got going here. So. And we know that these guys are well versed not only in how to get in and out, but the quirks of iRacing. They sit down, they study it, and it nets them first, second, third place. And so, pretty tough for these guys to do that and to make a pass on pit road. But John, you're correct. The running order stays the same off pit road here.
Yeah, and Jared, I think you've got some information for us. Looks like we had some cars that stayed out there on that pit strategy.
Yep, the top 5 on your screen currently have stayed out. That's going to be Tyler Watts, Joshua Tiggs, Nicholas Stockner, Andrew Williams, and Alexander Gagnon all staying out. First car with fresh tires, Santiago Perez back there in 6th. So he's going to start on the high side, road number 3. This restart could get dicey, guys.
Yeah, it could get dicey indeed. We're coming down with 17 laps to go here, so definitely second half of the race, no doubt, and a couple other big movers in the field, but I'm trying to stay in tune with what's going on. If these guys are going to be way out of position, and Santiago Perez is going to have fresh tires like you just mentioned, so again, I don't expect these front 5 there led by Tyler Watt and Joshua Tiggs to stay up there for too much longer. That's going to be a problem for those guys, and they're going to need some fuel here too towards the end of the race, so maybe not the strategy to pick unless there's just a heap of more cautions. I know nobody's wanting to see that here tonight, but we'll check and see what's going to happen here as we head into the closing stages of this race. Trying to keep an eye on Henry Morse. It looks like Jared Kaler, Austin Farr, and Ryan Fenty were in front of him on the exit of the pit lane there, so I think he lost his spots to Jared Kaler specifically on the exit pit lane. So I think he was in 3rd just before they came down there. So losing 1 spot there on pit lane, Jared Kaler up 1. Ryan Fenty still running well there in 10th overall, but that would be 5th on track.
As these drivers come down, trying to still figure out if they can make it on fuel or if they need to go. But I think the consensus is even with this long triangle going to be pretty hard to do that with the fuel situation here and the limits on these cars. So going to look forward to some green flag. And guys, we've had some more green flag runs. That's going to cut into any fuel saving that these guys are doing.
Yeah, gonna cut it into it hard. And Josh, something I just thought about, and guys are talking about a little bit in the chat there, is these guys that stayed out there on those worn tires are not going to have a lot of grip here at that restart, and some of them may not be used to these restarts here in the CIL. So we'll see how they manage that. Jarrett, pace car lights are out, takes that green flag.
So Tyler Watson, the 95 machine, going to lead us to the green flag. He can go whenever he chooses. Green flag in the air, and there we go. Stockner in the 5, dives to the bottom side. Austin Farr going to join him. They're going to go 3, maybe 4 wide by the time we hit turn 1.
Down into turn 1, it is going to be 4 wide. Everybody trying to figure out where they fit in line. Could be trouble here. We condense right down on 4, but everybody clean so far. Clemson given room up top. That's the 24 car, I believe. And trying to get figured out, and everybody's sharing. It looks like FIU diving out of the way, but keeps it pointed straight. Now 2 by 2 are your leaders. Buena Vista University right now, followed by University of Tennessee. That's Austin Farr. By the way, that's Joshua Tiggs leading this race. Ooh. And it looks like that's going to be Clemson in the 5 machine, also getting into Clemson in the 23 machine, keeping it straight. And looks like Texas A&M going to check up. And somebody threw, there's a red Camaro that's made it through. I believe that is Matthew Tucker has made a couple spots through that space. Maybe you would like to see all the drivers hit the brakes in that position. But nonetheless, we are back to the front stretch, 1 of the lap under our belt. Henry Morse looking out on those fresh tires, trying to get underneath. And you can bet UNC Charlotte behind that UC Berkeley car is going to be following through.
Yeah, Austin Farr going to re-inherit that lead position, inherit it for the first time tonight, actually over Joshua Tiggs. Joshua Tiggs stayed out there, so he's on worn tires. Austin Farr on fresh tires, trying to break a little bit of a toe here down to turn 2. But I would expect to see through turn 2 that Josh just can't quite hang on to the bumper of that Tennessee machine. He's going to be able to get to the throttle a lot easier than the cars behind. And he masterfully measured that restart there as they went 4 wide down there into the first turn. As we see, looks like no, that's going to be Christian Gomez going door to door with the 26 of Ryan Fenty. Yeah, battling it out here. Ryan Fenty coming out on top for the moment in that battle. Looks like Santiago Torres trying to regain some space here. He's got a little bit of help from behind. It looks like that's going to be the 55 of Kenneth Talbot. Help them push him towards the front. Guys are 3 wide here, a little bit further back in the field. Guys chatting on the radio saying, hey, please help me out here. I'm going to dive out of line here. I hope you follow me too. Austin Farr, though, looking good up there in the front at the moment. And I think Henry Morris is going to be able to execute a move here on Tiggs not too much further on, as we see him actually just in the moment dive out of line here as we head towards turns 2. He's going to be on the inside line here, optimum line. Santiago Torres going to try to follow him through and see if he can't get it done too on Buena Vista University. Just about gets to the corner panel. I don't think he has too much help behind those, so that's not going to help him too much. Yeah, he's losing that draft, but onto turn 3, he was able to get enough of the car alongside, going to slot it up the inside there and take that position away from Buena Vista University. So it looks like that strategy to stay out there on those tires, not so much helping out for Joshua Tiggs at the moment, Josh.
No, it is, but well held, and got to commend a little bit right now in P4, Josh Tiggs, for maintaining that position on that tire situation. Back on board with FIU now, and yeah, coming up, getting down into the corner. He's going to get a straight one off underneath my pick to win. That was Derek Jennings in the 15 machine, actually down the scoring tower a little bit. Had taken tires on that last run, but yeah, Ryan Fenty, guys, also looking forward, trying to get underneath Esteban Munoz, but not sure if turn 2 is the place for that. Going to look to turn 3 next time if he can get off this corner. He couldn't quite get off the corner. That's going to be a hindrance for that driver.
Yeah, and now Team Machine checked up right behind him as well, and not looking good. We've got another caution popping out here. Not quite sure where that's happened. That's got to be a little bit further back. That's going to be the 23 machine involved in that one. The 23 machine of Andrew Williams, and that might be Nicholas Stockner, I think, in the other car. And the RMU, no, it's going to be Bradley Daniels for the Robert Morris team. Both of them with a lot of damage. Looks like some engine damage for that 23 with the amount of smoke coming out of the back end of that car. So we'll take a look and see what happened here. Down into, this is going to be the exit of turn 2, so gets up in the wall. Carbon copy of the incident we saw earlier where Robbie Rabel got collected with that car spinning off that top wall. So 23 not having a great night either. Getting a little bit wrong there on the exit of turn 2 and collecting that Robert Morris machine. Not what we want to see here, but this is going to play into those guys that stayed out. We'll see if they can continue to exercise that fuel, and maybe they can make it to the end on this set of tires.
Yeah, and this set of tires probably good go to the end. With fuel, they probably did fill that car up, unless they really have a desire to have a lot of weight off that rear axle. We know that can loosen it up, which these drivers might like, but adding certainly enough fuel would be what you want to do. Doesn't have such a significant effect, especially here at Pocono. So as we get re-racked here, you can see the University of North Texas. That's Ryan Lusich. That you see there in the 12 machine, and then a little bit back Grand Canyon. There, FIU actually leading FIU's charge in a really good run from Esteban Munoz. We've called his name a ton tonight. Really solid run from that 19, guys. And so looking on back, we see a familiar sight up front. It is Tennessee, UNC Charlotte, and UC Berkeley, and University of Alabama at Huntsville. And a little bit of a fake run there from Santiago. He'll play the game, and everyone else will follow suit. But I'll tell you who, guys, I'm looking at P3 and P4 and wondering if they can mix it up, even if they can keep Jared Kaler there in the second UNC Charlotte car separated. That would be a great thing for the University of Tennessee. Austin Farr up there all alone for now. Teammates in this race, but a little bit further back in the field.
Yeah, teammates indeed. And going to go to quick cautions now. 1-lap caution. Pace car lights are already out. So we've got a battle on our hands here on the finishing stages. The last 10 laps, last 25% of this race. Austin Farr on the inside line with Santiago Torres just up in front. And Jared Kaler not quite able to get up close to Santiago Torres to help him out there. Henry Morse is going to be the only help that he might get. Actually, no, Henry Morse is going to be on the inside. I think Kenneth Talbot might be the only help that the 18 of Santiago Torres might get there. So on board with Austin Farr there in his gear and whatnot. And looks like the highest car currently that did not pit with that group there that they pitted earlier on lap 14 was Josh Tiggs. He's sitting there in 6th We'll see if he can hang on to that, but he started there in 5th, so that's not going to be the optimum strategy for the number 28 machine here tonight. You mentioned Esteban Munoz just a second ago, running it in 7th right now, leading the charge for that FIU team. But saying that, it looks like I saw Gomez just on my screen there a moment ago, but he was up 16 and now back down to just +1, so running in 26 for that second FIU car. So Jarrett cars are getting paired up now, and those pace car lights are out. We're about to go back to green flag racing.
We are, and it's going to be 9 to go when we get that green flag, and it's going to be tough. Guys in the back are going to want to get to the front. Guys in the front are want to get further in the front, and what better way to do it than on the front stretch? But we'll see. Guys shake on out and then get right back. The king of the restart, Austin Farr, has the race in his hands. He needs to stay in front of Santiago, get that points lead a little bit smaller. We'll see if he can do it, maybe even take the lead with a win here at Pocono. Green flag, and they throttle down the front straightaway. Farr with a good restart. Santiago on his back bumper as they head into 1. Josh?
And a solid push again without fail. That UC Berkeley machine from Jared Kaler. Guys, I'm going to have him give me a little bit of restart help on how to push guys once that restart goes. And I'm sure that he's talking to his teammate up front as well. But right now, it's Tennessee, then UNC Charlotte, then UC Berkeley. You can see a couple of the drivers lined up and waiting to pounce if anything happens up front. Right there, Matthew Tucker in the 143 machine, red machine on your screen, making a good little run up to this point. And trying to sort out back here, you see Texas A&M taking a position from Fort Hays University. And looks like NC State is going to dive to the inside. Will it stick? Not sure. Athena LeClaire from St. Clair College on the outside. She will be able to be on the outside, have a little momentum, and looks like might even get around the Fort Hays machine. So a little bit of patience there pays off. And yeah, clearly out in front, though, a little bit of draft help coming from the 119. So down into turn 1, we will follow this, and we'll follow 3 wide. Buena Vista on the outside, and Sam Houston down on the inside. North Texas in the middle, trying just to stay off. Pretty close right there. Texas A&M, guys, just hanging back. Best seat in the house.
Yeah, trying to get it in on the action. He's got a pretty good line right now, right on the tail of Joshua Tiggs. And Tiggs, reminder, still on old tires compared to the rest of these guys, but that will normalize a little bit as we get later into this run. So now we're back to single file running with Tiggs in front. Looks like Lucic is in behind, but he's going to duck out and try to make that move here into turn 3. A&M's going to try to follow him through if he can. A&M's got a lot of entering speed there. Rogers able to get a lot of rotation in that car into the corner and not quite make it up to the bumper, just right behind. We'll see if he can't get it down into turn 1. I'm sure he's expecting a little bit of help there from Matthew Tucker if he does choose to duck out, but at the moment that's not happening. It looks like Santiago Torres making a move for the lead there into turn 1, able to take that position away from the Tennessee machine of Austin Farr. Henry Moore still hanging on to 3rd at the moment. Great move there from Torres to reclaim the lead as we head into 7 laps to go. Looks like FIU ducking out of the draft, going to try to make a move on Ryan Fenty, I believe, as we get in there. 26 machine on the high side. No, he's actually moving on. That'd be Kenneth Talbot. He's trying to make a move on. We got cars side by side. A bit of contact there between the 9 and the 55. He's going to lose a heap of positions. North Texas is going to be able to capitalize on that and take that position away. North Texas up a few spots. Caution is out once more here again tonight, guys. And a bit surprised, actually. We did not have a car stopped on track, but a car... Oh, no. I take that back. Looks like Sean Campbell was involved in an incident for the Randolph Community College car. We're not quite sure what looks like a lot of front-end damage. So he's behind that Grand Canyon car back there on the top side. And this is going to be into turn 2, I believe. And looks like... no, that's another car got turned around and collected Sean Campbell. Unfortunately, not quite sure the number on that car. It's a little bit further up. So he was just on the top side of the 45. So that's going to be the 19 machine, gets turned by the 8. So that's going to be the second incident for the 8 here tonight. I think that's going to make that car get parked here tonight, guys.
Yeah, I think that is going to be all for the 8 machine there with the new CIL rules there for cautions and strikes. That's going to be two strikes and 2 dead on tracks there for that team. And so, yeah, following through, we knew going in. And, John, I will touch on the contact. Well held, but contact nonetheless between the 9 car there. As soon as we see those cars go low into turn 2, I get a little bit nervous, John. It's very hard to go through turn 2 at the optimal 9 line. Nonetheless, be underneath. You want to carry speed, but it's so hard, especially when you only have a quarter panel. The way I really like to treat turn 2 is to be a car or so back, and then have maybe a better run or get a good exit and set myself up for turn 3. Even getting off of turn 1 so well, I might push the car in front, but I really, really don't care to be side by side at all in that situation. And so I think we'll add that probably to the notebook for those guys. I see UNC Charlotte doing a little bit of synchronized head games there with the rest of the field.
Yeah, indeed. I think that's a good strategy as we see Ethan Head coming down to park it here. That was his second strike of the night, so that will be the end of his race here for causing 2 incidents, unfortunately. But yeah, I agree with you. That looks like the optimum strategy. You want to be just off that bumper of the car in front in turn 2, maybe get out of the throttle a little bit earlier, but then pick up the throttle earlier as well, and that's going to give you a better exit and the ability to get the run down there into turn 3. We see some guys, kind of struggle with some of the lines there in turn 2, when you want to come out of the throttle, when you want to get back on the throttle without washing up the track too quickly. And we see it working out here, and just not in the favor of a couple different cars. So pace car lights are out once more. We're coming here through turn 1. Jarrett, we've got 5 to go here, our 6th caution in the feature race. Any predictions here for these last 5?
Well, I tell you what, guys, got to keep in mind there is no green-white checker. We'll try to finish under green as best as we can, but there is no overtime here in the CIL. So guys are going to know my lap counter is counting down. I got to make a move now. So I think we're going to see some of those aggressive moves we saw earlier in the race that we saw in the LCQ. And we might see some guys put a door on each other, as we've seen a couple times throughout the night. But I tell you what, guys, we saw a couple guys save it and have really good driving abilities there that last little run. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get a good little run here to finish this one out. Josh?
Yeah, we will. And these guys are going to want to go and be close. Everybody's going to want their piece of the pie as we continue here towards the checkered flag. So that's going to have to be something these drivers figure out, and then onward from there, we'll see who makes it to victory lane. But yeah, Jarrett, you've got it. The lights are out of the pace car, and we've got 4 to go when we get to the line.
Green flag in the air, and here comes Santiago Perez. Austin Farr needs a really good jump here. He's going to jump all the way to the bottom, hop on the back end of the number 18 car. He's probably going to save his move for the last lap of the race. Henry Morris also at the bottom. They'll jump to the top to get that good entry into turn 1 as they head down 3 wide, heading to you, John.
Yeah, it looks like a little bit further back, UNC Charlotte caused the UNT team to check up. 55 had him to check up a little bit as well. We made some contact back there with Henry Morse. Henry Morse defending down there to the low line. Doesn't want to give Charlotte, or UNC Charlotte rather, the position, but UNC got a great run off the corner, able to take that position away for 3rd. So that is UNC in the 1st and 3rd positions. 2 podiums right now for that team. Looks like UNT has actually got a good run off of turn 2 as well, maybe trying to put a move into turn 3 on the 44 for the UC Berkeley. Up there in the front, looks like Santiago Perez still able to hang on to 1st position, stretching out a little bit of a gap right now behind Austin Farr. These two are starting to run away with it, and with only 3 laps to go here as they cross the line this time by, there's a little bit of opportunity cost here. The opportunities are running out and not being able to come by as quite as quickly. And a little bit further back there, A&M has popped out of line. Had some help for the moment but from NC State just behind, but NC State tucked back into the line and gave no help to the A&M machine, so he got hung out there to dry for just a moment. Ryan Fenty back there in 5th position at the moment, still single file. Nobody getting a great run off of turn 1, so no position change for the moment. Looks like Esteban Munoz is under fire right now from the 55 machine. 55 machine driven by Kenneth Talbot at the moment. Couple cars hot there into turn 2, but up there at the front, it's still Santiago Perez, Austin Farr, and then the second UNC Charlotte car of Jared Kaler.
Yeah, back down into turn 3, coming to 2 to go this time. Mano y mano at the front, but you can see these guys all looking for position. Ryan Fenty, and you see looks like FIU looking and trying to figure out where to go, but not sure when to pull out around that Alabama at Huntsville car. Matthew Nordberg, you do see there looking inside Buena Vista University, but with 2 to go down into turn 1, you're on board with Austin Farr in that 79 car.
Yeah, Austin Farr, we've talked about a number of times. He doesn't mind being in second place, but with 2 laps to go right now, he's got to start thinking about that move, guys. We might see him do what we talked about just a moment ago, Joss, with the move at turn 2, where just a little bit back and then pick up the throttle a little bit earlier and try to make that move down into turn 3. And I haven't seen that outside line work at turn 3 too much yet tonight, so I don't know if that's going to help him. But Santiago Perez has got a good 2 car lengths behind him at the moment. But Jared Kaler trying to put a move on Austin Farr if he can here. It's going to be white flag this time by, and Jared Kaler is wanting that second position. We want to make it a 1-2 finish for the UNC Charlotte team. And Tennessee going to have to defend hard from UNC. He's going to put the block on him here into turn 1 and try to keep that position for the moment. Jared Kaler not having the run that he needs to take that spot back from him, right on board with Kaler at the moment. Down into turn 1, a little bit of brake action as well. Jared Kaler staying down there low, trying to keep some clean air over the nose of that car. Austin Farr going to put a block on here into turn 2, trying to keep that nose in the draft of Perez as well in front and not give that position up to UNC, Jarrett.
Yeah, it's a 3 cars all under blanket as they head through the tunnel turn. Jared Kaler, will he make his move in turn 3? Will Austin Farr just send it in as deep as he can? Perez with a healthy lead, about 2 car lengths heading into turn 3. Farr sends it in really deep, and he's got to hope that sticks. Does that right front have just enough in it? Doesn't look like it will, and Santiago Perez is going to drive it home to victory here at Pocono.
That is Perez and UNC Charlotte across the line, P1. University of North Carolina at Charlotte going to bring it home, P1 and P3 actually, and then Tennessee going to finish up your podium with the second step. All those guys now trying to fan out, be done. Some opinions being shared here at the end of the race, and these guys, your leaders, doing a little photo opportunity. Santiago Perez, John, frankly, a great drive up at the front.
Yeah, but can we expect much different from a current Coke Series driver? Now Santiago Perez just dominating this session, qualifying in first position, hanging on to it for almost the entire race. Austin Farr led a couple laps there, but at the end of the day, Santiago Perez for the UNC team is going to come home first position. Lovely to see a 1-3, a double podium for that team as well. That might be one of the first or second, actually, double podiums for the UNC team. Kaler coming away with the victory 2 weeks ago at Texas Motor Speedway with Perez in second, and now that roles are reversed with Perez in that top spot. So well done to Santiago Perez, and we'll bring them up here shortly for the interview booth.
So Santiago Perez going to burn it down here at Pocono. Able to take home the victory, and he had to work a little bit for it, having those 5 drivers out in front of him for a moment. It was tough sledding for the number 18 for a moment, but you see why he's a pro esports driver right there. Nothing but class from the number 18 team.
Yeah, you know, Jarrett, one driver, sorry to cut you off there, but one driver I do want to highlight for the moment. I don't think we're going to get an interview with him, but the Hard Charger Award is going to go to Christian Gomez. Moved up 18 spots. Remember, he finished first there in that last chance qualifier and finished in the top 10 in front of his teammate of Esteban Munoz. So an absolutely great performance there from both the FIU drivers to finish there in ninth and 10th.
Yeah, really solid run from those guys. FIU making a good showing. And again, Esteban Munoz, a little bit of trouble in turn 2 at one point, but really, really solid performance from that driver as well.
Yeah, so we've got your feature results there on the screen. But first, we're going to hear from Santiago Perez here. Santiago, talk to us how that race went from your position. Did a great job up there to put it on pole and really kind of dominate this race. So tell us from your seat how you saw it.
Well, these races are never given. This is my first win, so for this series. So really happy about that. But yeah, no, we got the pole. We hit a really good lap in qualifying, and you know, it's very, very tricky once it comes to the strategy and when you have to pit. I knew that when I had to pit that I had to get through traffic as quick as I could. Because track position is so important, and those guys on older tires, you know, will hold you up if you don't get by them quick. So, yeah, it was just it wasn't straightforward. That's for sure. I had to definitely strategize my way from the start. We didn't get a good restart there. with like 26 to go, and Austin got out front, and I was afraid he was going to get me again. So, but fortunately, we got a good run in the tunnel turn and made the pass into one, and that was it.
So tell us a little bit about on those restarts. We saw you guys had just come off pit road with a handful of cars on older tires up front. And what was your strategy if you're on the inside or if you're on the outside? I guess an inside car can duck low if needed, but what do you do if you're on an outside car and you got a wall on your right side?
I mean, the first thing is to just try not to get wrecked, for starters, and then after that, I mean, you're just going for any gap you can take. Just so hard to pass with once you get strung out, especially with dirty air and the kind of package we have. So yeah, you just go for gaps. Make it 3 wide when you have to. That's just something that you have to do. It's part of the deal.
Yeah, so you mentioned it right there. The dirty air, for a lot of people at home that might be watching, kind of wondering why you're unable to pass and why you're able to stay in front of the guys so easily. Can you explain a little bit of what that feels like in the car for us?
Basically, you can't turn. You're going in the corner like normal, and the car just stops turning, just out of nowhere. It's not a good sensation. It's frustrating, especially if you're following. But the thing that countered it tonight was the draft, because the straightaways here are so long. You're able to just pretty much draft up to the person in front of you, and you pretty much, if you got to that guy and got side by side, you had to make a lunge. I don't know if it seemed that way when I made the pass on Austin, but I had to complete lunge it and brake probably an additional 10 feet past where I normally brake, because yeah, it's just once you get pinched down, your momentum is killed on the bottom. So yeah, it's definitely it's a different kind of racing. It's not, it definitely has its own traits and things you kind of have to learn about it, for sure.
Definitely. Well, you made it work all night long. Santi Terres, your first win here in CIL. Who do you want to give a shout out to before we send you to the InnoVetted Labs victory lane?
I'd like to give a shout out to UNC Charlotte and Jed Kaler for also for UNC Charlotte. He finished third tonight, so we got a good one university. And I appreciate you guys putting the broadcast on and these races on.
Always a good thing happening at UNC Charlotte, it sounds like. Congrats again on the win, Santi, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you, guys.
So that was our winner, Santi Terres, coming away, and UNC Charlotte looking very tough to beat, guys.
Yeah, very tough indeed. Got a strong pairing between Kaler and Terez up there, a Coke Series driver, and Jared Kaler, no slouch himself, a former champion in the CIL as well. So very strong UNC team. They're the ones to beat here.
So next into the booth joining us is the guy who tried to chase him down during that final run. It's Austin Farr from the 79 team, that Tennessee esports team, joining us up in the booth. And Austin, we just talked to Santi about dirty air, and I think we kind of saw it from you. How hard was it to pass as that trail car here tonight?
It was pretty much impossible. I mean, on the restarts, it's doable because not everybody's up to speed, and if you have help from behind, you can do it. But pretty much the only place I was getting runs was out of turn 1, and turn 2 isn't really an ideal place to pass. So it was pretty difficult, to say the least.
So walk us through that portion from the restart there after you took new tires. Did you think there would be an opportunity to pass the leader coming off pit road? And after you didn't, what was the strategy from that point on?
It's kind of weird. I kind of treated it like a Miata race, right? Like I was working with people in front of me and people behind me to try to gap people behind me, so that if by chance the race did go green, we wouldn't have to worry about too much pressure from behind. So I was kind of just, at least for the first part of that race, I was riding behind Santiago, and that was working out pretty well. The restart was pretty hectic. I was kind of hoping it'd stay green because it'd give me a little bit more time to, I guess, find a rhythm and figure out what works and what doesn't in clean air. But yeah, he was just way better than me in dirty air, so that's where he got me.
Yeah, well, you're talking about Miata strategy racing. That's something that I can understand. But either way, that's your third podium in as many races. You finished on every step of the podium now so far. Can you keep this trend going and really take that fight to this UNC team? They're looking pretty strong here late in the season.
As long as my luck holds up and I don't do anything stupid, I should be okay.
Let's hope so.
Well, Austin Farr, congrats on that second place finish. Who do you want to give a shout out to before we send you on your way?
Everybody watching, I heard the viewer count was pretty awesome, so thanks for that, guys. All you guys up here in the booth for calling the race, and everybody else for putting on the league. It's a lot of fun, and it's how I like to spend my Tuesday nights. So thanks, guys.
All right. Well, always fun talking to you in the booth. And like you said, it's not going to be the last time this season. We sure hope. So, Austin Farr, go celebrate that second place finish, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Will do. Have a good one, guys.
That was Austin Farr. Cool, calm, and consistent. Those are three things to describe Austin Farr. And tonight, again, no exception. You're chasing down now a current Coke Series driver, and he's just puts the wheels where he needs to put them, keeps on racing, guys. I wouldn't be surprised if Tennessee... You asked me at the start of the broadcast, John, will Austin Farr pass the UNC team? And I tell you what, after tonight, he's got a shot in these final three races of the season.
Yeah, it's even more impressive when you think about the fact that he doesn't have any help up there. He's relying on drivers from other teams to come out there and help him to the front spot. And without that, he's got to do it all on his own. So for him to finish with 3 podiums in as many races, I got to hand it to him. That's pretty impressive.
The third driver joining us here tonight is the other UNC Charlotte driver, and that's Jared Kaler. No stranger to the booth is the 58 team and driver. And Jared, we talked about it with the guys. How important were restarts here tonight for you?
I mean, they were pretty critical. I mean, you couldn't really pass once you kind of got out of turn 1. I felt like unless you had a lot of help behind you, because you could get the run off the turn and then you'd pull out a line and then it would kind of just stall out with everyone drafting on the outside. So I mean, the restarts were pretty critical, and I think you saw that when we all pitted lap like 24-ish, and on that restart, I mean, that inside line, like Austin and Henry were just like able to scoot past me and Santi, and we were just kind of like left to dust, and we kind of had to battle our way through the pack while they were kind of out in front.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that. It looked like Austin Farr was one of the big winners from that, but that he didn't hang on to that lead for too long because your teammate Santiago Torres put that move on him there and was able to hang on to it. But you yourself moved up all the way from 10th all the way up to 3rd, which is the second time we've had both the UNC Charlotte cars here on the podium. We're wondering if this is going to become a trend here.
I mean, I hope so. It's 2 wins in a row for the team, and congrats to Santi, of course. Getting the win and getting his first win of the league is pretty cool to see, and continuing the podium stretch for the team as well with the 1 and 3 is really cool. But yeah, I mean, it was pretty difficult to pass, like I said, and just kind of had to get lucky on the restarts and maybe get lucky with someone making a run or making a little bit mistake and here and there.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about your pro strats. Just about every restart we had where it was beneficial, you were pushing somebody, whether it was Austin Farr or UC Berkeley, Henry Morse a couple times. But, how are you timing these restarts, even when Farr was the control car, right? So you wouldn't, well, maybe you do. I don't know if you have him in Discord. But nonetheless, what is the pro strats to timing the restarts and then pushing and then getting yourself up in position just after those restarts?
Honestly, just being around those guys a lot. I raced Austin. This is the 3rd season with him, so I kind of know what he's going to do on the restart in terms of games, especially on these bigger tracks. You can kind of gauge the restart a lot better. And I was with Santi and communicating with him throughout the whole race, so I was able to nail those restarts pretty well. But yeah, I think it's just experiencing and knowing when they're going to go. You can kind of get a game plan of like these people when they go. You kind of build up that mental image of when they're going to go on the restart, whether it's right as the pace car pulls off, whether it's when the green lights go out. So just continuing to race them over and over again.
Definitely. Well, you guys putting on a show for us, that UNC Charlotte team. Like you said, just stealing those podiums away. So, Jared Kaler, anyone you want to give a shout out to before we send you on your way?
I just want to give a shout out to you guys for setting it up, and of course, InnoVetted Labs for sponsoring the league. and you know, like I said, congrats to Santi on that win. Pretty cool.
All right. Well, always fun talking to you guys, and continue this dominance. It's almost old Hendrick like reminiscent almost. So congrats again to you guys, to UNC Charlotte, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you, guys.
So that was Jared Kaler in the 58 machine, and I just said it, kind of reminiscent of that old Hendrick dominance with two top-tier drivers and Austin Farr just trying to play spoiler here tonight. And tonight he almost did, John.
Yeah, tonight he almost did indeed, but either way, not quite coming up with the win at the end of the night, but still a very strong second place finish. We'll have to take a look and see what that does to the points at the end of the night, though.
Yeah, and your standings here are going to be your race results. The winner, UNC Charlotte, driven by Santiago Perez. And then Austin Farr from Tennessee, Jared Kaler from UNC Charlotte, Ryan Lusich from North Texas, and UC Berkeley. We talked about that team with a strong run, bringing that 44 machine home in 5th position. And then Alabama at Huntsville, driven by Kenneth Talbot in this instance in 6th place. Jeremy Rogers, 7th. Ryan Fenty, 8th. P9, Christian Gomez, and P10 right behind him, Esteban Munoz. Couple of FIU machines to finish out your top 10.
Joshua Tiggs holds on, staying out on pit road from Buena Vista University to that 11th spot. Matthew Tucker, good run for the Jacksonville State team in 12th. Jared Grodzicki, didn't talk much about him all night, but he quietly finishes 13th for that Kansas State team. Ethan Morris from Tennessee finishing 14th. Zach Lindler from Clemson in 15th. Sean Campbell rebounds for Randolph Community College all the way up to 16th. Matthew Nordberg from NC State in 17th. And Athena LeClaire, a good run for St. Clair College all the way up there in 18th. Austin DeLong from the Penn College of Technology finishes 19th. And Tyler Watts rounds out your top 20 from Fort Hays State.
Yep, and Andrew McCall there finishing up 21st for the Purdue alumni group there, and then Carl Lemke, another alumni, finishing in 22nd for St. Louis University. Colin Culpa for Indiana finishes in 23rd here tonight, followed up closely by Derek Jennings for Grand Canyon University in 24th. Edwin Onofre for North Texas in 25th, Nathan Brungett for Lynchburg in 26th, Andrew Williams in 27th for Clemson, and then Bradley E. Daniels for Robert Morris University in 28th. Nicholas Stockner is going to finish up here 29th for Clemson University. Cody Fadenhauer for VCU had a bit of a tough night as well in 30th. Ethan Head had that parking incident as well. It comes off 31st for Tennessee. Ricky Paz for Val University there in 32nd. Alexander Gagnon in 33rd. Jeremy Miller in 34th. Ryan Whitlock in 35th. And then rounding out your field here tonight, Robbie Vrabel Jr. in 36th for St. Clair College. So, guys, as we wrap up on here tonight, a couple of takeaways that I know that I had that I think we're going to be sending a lot of drivers here to the stewards to chat with about some of these racing incidents here tonight and try to get understood as to what happened there. But also, we're looking at the UNC team here. They're really dominating. I mean, we can't restate it enough how important it is to have a teammate in this field, and they are exercising that to the absolute nines. And Josh, tell me what your thoughts are on that. Can they continue this streak of dominance like we see with, I'm assuming that, Jared, I'm not a big NASCAR guy, but I'm assuming the Hendrick dominance is equivalent to the Mercedes dominance that we've seen in Formula One recently.
Yeah, that is correct. Boy, Hendrick dominance, whatever dominance you want to talk about. Yeah, I think they will continue. Teammates are key here, very helpful. And you got to commend the University of Tennessee for putting Austin Farr up front. Each race, and usually on his own there. So I do think that the Charlotte team is going to have an opportunity here with their numbers. So you talked about every time we hear the 18 or the 58, talking strategy, they're talking about their teammate and how they're communicating, whether it's a restart, a mid-race, a race finish. And so, yeah, John, I do think so, but I don't think that, like you heard the 18 say in his interview, I don't think that's a given. There's going to be a lot of stuff that these drivers learn and do over the course of a season, right? As long as these drivers are human, they can make mistakes. So each race, each lap is going to have to be taken into account. And it will be very exciting to see how these drivers play out. And then, towards the end of the season, what the standings are.
Yeah, and I think, John, you started to touch on it a little bit. We were kind of surprised by the amount of cautions that we've seen tonight and the amount of aggressive driving almost. And if you take a look at the top 3, even the top 5, really, all of those drivers made calculated, we'll call them like gives, right? I let off the throttle, let someone slide in front of me. I took a high line when the guy was below me. They all made calculated things, not risks, the opposite of risks, conservative decisions to keep their car in a good spot all night long. And it paid off for them tonight. And it's hard to do on a track that's 2.5 miles long. It's a very long lap, a lot of drafting, a lot of close racing. But guys, it's a skill that these guys have mastered up there at the top, John.
Yeah, I mean, they call it the tricky triangle for a reason, and we think we found that out there tonight. A lot of guys struggling there on the exit of turn 2, but Jarrett, you said it there. They were making very conservative decisions. They knew when they had to move. They knew when the move was on, and they knew when it wasn't. They knew when they had to give up the spot. And so I think a lot of these guys that finished a little bit further down the field are going to hopefully watch back their replays and kind of learn from them. But just as a reminder, all the viewers out there, we got Road Atlanta up here on the schedule in the Road Series next week. Looking forward to seeing what happens on that one and see if Sean Campbell can continue his streak of dominance that we've seen, winning 3 races in a row on the Road Series in some GT3 cars. And so stay tuned for that one. Josh, got any predictions for that one? I'm looking forward to that one a lot. I'm headed off to Road Atlanta myself in about a month's time for some MX5 Cup racing, but hopefully this GT3 stuff can give me a bit of a preface for it.
Yeah, I think so. I think Randolph is going to be one to watch. I also think that the University of Virginia is shaping up through Thomas Toomey there to be a strong competitor, and that's who I'm looking for, perhaps for the balance of the season to challenge. But I think we're going to have 3 or 5 cars that are pretty close on speed there. Road Atlanta, pretty tricky, very technical in the first part, and then a little bit of mind games as you head down the back stretch. But we'll find that out next Tuesday in about 7 days' time. Looking at these guys going through, as you see on your screen, UNC Charlotte, the story of the evening here tonight.
Definitely. And if you want to see these cars back on track, you can tune back in 2 weeks' time as we head to Auto Club, and that's going to be the 1.5 mile Auto Club, not the short track that's coming to NASCAR in a couple of years, but we're heading to the OG Auto Club, so to speak, and that should be a fun one out in California where all these drivers will take to the track once again. So just like Josh said, if you want more CIL action, tune in 1 week's time, same place, and we'll be on the road of Road Atlanta, so that's set to be a good one. So for one last time, for all of us up here in the booth and all of us putting on the CIL production, we'd like to thank you all for tuning in, and we hope to see you again soon. Good night, everybody.